Cincinnati's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group station. Sports Hub headlines, presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
The Bruins yesterday morning became the final NHL team to hire their new head coach, bringing in LA Kings minor league boss Marco Sturm. He was with the Bruins for 5 seasons during his player career, left the summer before they won the Stanley Cup in 2011. He is the 30th head coach in team history. Bruins interim head coach Joe Sacco has been hired as an assistant with the New York Rangers under their new head man Mike Sullivan. Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals is tonight in Edmonton, with the Oilers leading Florida 1-0. Tyrese Halliburton hit a pull-up jumper with 0.3 seconds left, and Indiana shocked Oklahoma City 111-110 last night in Game 1 of the NBA Finals.
This game, if you look at all the numbers, it's not the recipe to win. We can't turn the ball over that much. We got to do a better job of beating gaps. Got to do a better job of rebounding. Got to do a better job all over the floor.
Pacers turned the ball over 24 times in this game. League MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 38 for the Thunder, but they blew a 15-point fourth-quarter lead. Game 2 is on Sunday night. Aaron Rodgers finally has a deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He has reportedly agreed to a 1-year contract. He's expected on the field for mandatory minicamp next week. Red Sox had last night off. They pitch Walker Buehler tonight at the stadium against the first-place Yankees. It's the first time these two teams have met all season. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Catches Law. At Catches, they specialize in helping those who have been injured not only from a one-time incident, but from a lifetime of hard work and labor. Does this sound like you? Visit CatchesLaw.com. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
Boston's best sports talk. There's an app for that. Download the Sports Hub app for loads of stuff. Absolutely free. Connect with the shows, get podcasts, and more. Get it where you get your apps. Or at 985sportshub.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Toucher.
When has that been necessary to fact check?
And Hardy.
I am not known as Mr. Fun.
On 98.5.
Hey there.
Sarge GPT booting up.
Let me hear you say, boo, boo, boo.
Crush me, mommy.
Say my name.
I'm a robot.
I'm the son of the Pope.
I'm a goddamn drag!
Yeah, good luck, dude.
Nothing like a good tushy.
Uh-huh.
I love you. And I think you know that.
Excuse me?
Toucher and Hardy.
Watch Daddy and Uncle Freddie.
Knocking back some fence and having some fun.
On 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Let's go.
The place is jammed.
10 years ago, right before he retired, he was playing the 5. We've talked about this before. It was done in Boston, I'm told, too. The 5 o'clock whistle.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then there's a little bit of production. Mr. Slate blowing the whistle, yabba dabba doo. Then some other stuff. Then into Working for the Weekend by Loverboy.
Yep.
That's the way all the guys knew that it was time on the down there in by Lake Superior, that they knew that it was time for to go off on their boats that they inexplicably could afford. What was that thing that we talked? What was the thing that they did on Lake Superior in Michigan downriver, where there was the day that everyone took the day off and they got on their boats and they went into the middle of Lake Superior. Oh,
Superior or Huron?
what is it? Isn't it Lake Superior?
Superior is the one that's on top.
Oh yeah,
Because
okay,
it's
Lake
Superior.
Huron. Yeah, then Lake Huron.
Mm-hmm.
The Superior is the one they call Gitchagumi.
I see.
That's the big lake they call.
There was
Gitchagumi.
something that had a dumb name that was one day a year where like everyone.
Oh yeah.
And Riff always broadcasted from there because it was like the. Nugent. Yeah.
It's not the Dream Cruise, it's the Dream Float.
Exactly. Like the Romantics are playing. Yeah.
You want a little Arthur P? I got some. You want a little Arthur P from like WRF 1991?
Yeah.
What the hell? It's Friday, right?
Rumor has it Joe also will be making a cameo on the new Bob Seger album when and if it's ever released on WRIF, the home of rock and roll. Hey, the Riff invites you to join your host, Todd Fowler, tomorrow night at Clubland, where we are going to attempt to set the record for the most guitarists playing on one stage at the same time. Register to win a trip for two to Hawaii, courtesy of Northwest Airlines and the Hyatt Hotels. Plus, check out the swimsuit fashion show and a whole lot more. This weather item just in, there's a tornado watch in effect for much of lower Michigan, including the Detroit area. Our tornado watch means conditions are favorable for the development of severe thunderstorms and even tornadoes in much of lower Michigan for the rest of this afternoon and this evening. Situation is particularly dangerous with the possibility of damaging tornadoes, large hail over 1 inch in diameter, and a dangerous thunderstorm winds over 60 miles an hour or so they say could take place. They haven't spotted any yet, but when they do, you'll know about it. Again, this is an extremely dangerous situation for most of lower Michigan for the rest of the afternoon and this evening. All Michigan residents
Made $1 million
within
a
the
year.
tornado watch area.
Now roll into some fog hat. Come on.
Reading a piece of paper.
And listen to WRIF for the latest updates, statements, and possible warnings.
This is Todd Fowler. This Thursday
There
night.
we go. Little Arthur P. there for you.
Oh.
Reading the.
I'm glad they pulled that for YouTube. Like
What
that-
happened to one thought per break, Arthur?
Well, Arthur had to read that. I mean, he had the FCC regulations. I mean, you have to keep Detroit up for the.
Well, yeah, the guy guesting on the new Bob Seger album.
Yeah.
Still weren't sure about the release date of that.
Yeah.
Quick
If it
promo.
ever comes out, Bobby, come on, put out the new Seeger. He might have talked about Seeger and Nugent every third break.
Yeah.
Did you ever see Ted Nugent live?
No, I saw Kiss on the reunion tour, and Ted Nugent opened, but the show started at 7, and I got there at 8, and Ted Nugent had already played. Like it was one of like Kiss went on at like 8:15. They started at 7. Nugent went on at 7:05 and was off the stage by 7:45. And then because it takes a half an hour for Kiss to get all their crap out there because there was so much. Yeah. And I remember being really pissed, but the one I missed, he switches guitars for the last song, so I wonder what's happening. And then he straps his guitar onto some kind of device, and it gets raised up on the stage, and then he shoots it with a flaming bow and arrow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I missed it. I'm really sad I missed it, too, because I guess it was like the highlight of him being goofy. It was like, I saw Kiss in like 2002 when they were like Ace Frehley was drunk and like Peter Criss was there. Ace Frehley kept forgetting stuff and like sitting down on the amps.
Which has to look so sad in full costume and makeup.
Yeah, but it was
Bring
pretty
me a chair
funny.
out here.
They weren't old enough where it was sad. Like they were probably like in their late 40s, and so shock me. It's like da, 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 da. So they play that a couple times.
Yeah.
And then Ace, they just keep playing. Like Paul nods to Ace, and Ace just keeps standing there playing it. And then finally, Paul has to walk up to his mic and go, "You love it?" And then Ace is like, "Oh yeah, you love it is all I need." And then flicking them at girls in the crowd. And we had really good seats. For some reason, I had really good seats. I was working for 99X. I must have gotten them through there, but I had like 7th row seats, and it might be the best time I've ever had a concert. Not the best concert I've ever seen, but the best time I've ever had, because it was legitimately funny. Not one of those things you just go like, "Oh, I'm so cool and this is funny." It was really, really funny. Gene couldn't move around so good in those boots anymore.
Oh, yeah.
His bass solo, he's doing the same one from like 1975 where he just takes the pick and goes boom, 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 and then sticks his tongue out and like blood comes out of his mouth, which when I was a kid I thought was like the most satanic thing in the world. But then when you see it as an adult, you're like, oh, he just put a bunch of blood capsules in his mouth. And he's done it 10,000 times. It's not that scary anymore. Yeah, it was really good. I wish everyone could go back in time and see Kiss on that tour. And that tour, too. Not the one in the 90s. Like, this was like the end. The real end of the original lineup. Where they were all sick of each other and then back to their old habits. Paul was like, "I don't know." He goes, I heard a little bit about Georgia. I heard you like peaches in a can.
Huh?
Because of Georgia peaches.
Yeah. Well, why in a can?
Yeah.
And then they had a noise meter. And he goes, I'd like to come out and say, but I don't want to come out uninvited. And then, they show a crowd meter, and then he's like, do you want me? And they're like, yeah. And he goes, here I come. And he puts his foot in this, stirrup and rides out into this, stage, kind of a quarter of the way into the crowd to play Love Gun.
That's how Lyle Lovett came out the last time.
Oh, right before you...
Similar stage entrance.
Right
Yeah.
No, that was a guitar player just walking on his face. Got out to the middle.
That I've seen video of, and they would bring out a guitar and put it on a stand and have a big X, and they would put a spotlight on the guitar, and he would shoot the guitar with a flaming arrow, and it would burst into flames. And yeah, there's pyro and stuff all the time on stage. What's the big deal? Well, this is a weapon. You're firing on the stage.
The guitar was rigged to catch on fire. Obviously,
yes.
The flame, the arrow flame, wasn't what was catching it on fire. Yeah, it's not. It's not. I've seen it a few times.
Suction cup arrows like you would have as a kid.
It's not that cool, but yeah, I think the arrow was probably really on fire. But there's a lot of times a lot of gap between the guitar hitting it and it catching on fire.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, in what I always thought was the funniest is that he changes guitars for the song. So there's no illusion. It doesn't even look like the same guitar. He just gets a new guitar that's a piece of crap, and that's the one he lights up. It's not like Townsend breaking a guitar out of anger or whatever, for real. And Paul did the same thing. Paul Stanley breaks a guitar at the end of this show, but he puts on a crappy guitar at the end and then breaks an easily breakable one.
It was once the Who did it a couple of times and some punk bands did it. It was pretty much done, and it ceased to be cool after the first couple of times because the reason why it was such a moment, especially for the Who, is. That was Townsend's, I think, the first time he did it, it was his only good guitar. But he was pissed off about something, and he said, screw it, and I'm just going to ruin the one good thing that I have. That's what makes it cool and dangerous and unique. Well, not when you have prop guitars that you bring out on stage to ruin. Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, the Who were pretty good at that. I mean, there's the famous, which everyone knows, where Keith Moon on TV put a bunch of explosives in the bass drum of his guitar, and then it really blew up, and it was way bigger than they thought, and it really hurt Pete Townsend's hearing. That's the kind of true mistakes that you want to see.
Right. Which I'm gonna look it up because I've gotten this wrong before. I don't think it was on. It wasn't on some big show. I mean, a big show maybe for the time, but it wasn't like they did that on the Tonight Show. It was I think it was on either Dick Cavett or the Smothers Brothers.
Whoa!
When Keith Moon blew up the bass drum of his kit and permanently damaged Pete Townsend's hearing.
Wow!
Have you ever heard of? I fell down a rabbit hole. So there's that one Once Upon a Time in Bennington podcast, where they talk about when Bret Easton Ellis, Jonathan Latham, and Donna Tartt were all going to Bennington College at the same time. Well, there was a girl named Brixton Smith that went there too, and she joined the Fall, the band The Fall. Now, are any of you familiar with the band The Fall, the Manchester band The Fall?
Marky Smith, yeah.
Yeah. So they're not good. But then I watched an hour-long documentary because Brixton Smith was hot and she married him, and he's super ugly. And he died of alcoholism. But they did it. I watched a 45-minute documentary on them yesterday. I can't understand a word anyone from Manchester says. I can't understand one word they're saying. And it's an English language BBC documentary, and I can't understand one word that they're saying. Brixton Smith is from Chicago, so I could. But this guy, Mark E. Smith.
Yeah, Mark E. Smith.
Yeah, Mark E. Smith. Little ugly dude. Marrying this hot chick very annoying.
He was a real bastard too, man. He had some stories. Like he's another one of those bands where like just cycle through members because
they had 90 or something like 90 members. So
ridiculous.
But he would be belligerent with the press, and I would I would grab him by the neck and just throw him around like if he was belligerent with me. Like, who are you to be belligerent to me? It's funny. The English people really like people being mean to them.
Yeah, I was going to say, and the press loves it. Like, they would prefer you be belligerent because that gives them more to write about.
Well, that's the thing is that
Oasis,
that they became, well, at least Oasis was a huge band. Like, the Fall were never popular. This is the thing that was interesting. The only thing I got out of it that was pretty interesting, A, that he married hot Brixton Smith. That only lasted a little while. But number two is, they never were popular at all, except for like a 6-month period in like the late 80s. But they formed in the late 70s. And the only reason people talked to him is because he was so belligerent.
Right,
like
he was going to flip out.
Like they asked for it, and then right before he died, they did an interview with him for the BBC. And it's funny because they're at this pub, and they just keep flashing tight into his glass of bourbon. Like, yeah, he's still drinking.
Oh, no.
Look, he's still drinking.
Yeah.
Like, he can't even like move his ear off his shoulder. He's just like he's all out of it. 60 years old, you know.
Yeah, he was only 60.
Like 60 years old, like on
Kidneys
the verge.
went out on him. Cancer. It was awful.
Well, yeah, he smoked like 8 packs a day. He was an active, like degenerate alcoholic for like his entire life. Yeah, like you're gonna die at 60, unless you're the dude from the Pogues, and then you just live and live and live. But both of them had to do shows at the end of their lives from wheelchairs. The dude was like 59 doing shows from wheelchairs, all self-inflicted.
Man,
yeah, that's I mean, because when you're revered like that by a cult audience, I don't think there's a lot of incentive to stop your activities. And then there you go. But I do like that the British press really likes people telling them off. Because if I was interviewing a guy like at a pub and it was that guy and he started and first of all, he's like in a band that's not has no power over me. They can't get me fired. And he's like a twerpy little guy. I'd be like, get the F out of here. What are you talking to me like that? How about I kick the crap out of you? Little man. What the hell's wrong with you? I think that the idea that they were so bad maybe made people think he was smarter than he was. That's just a thing. He says that he used to come up with songs by cutting words out of magazines and putting them together. I think sometimes like that kind of stuff makes people think people are smarter than they actually are.
Yeah, Bowie did that, but Bowie would write his own phrases and his own lyrics and then kind of pastiche them, cut them up and kind of
Bowie changed people's lives.
Yeah.
Bowie changed people's perceptions on their entire lives. Bowie was a very, very, very powerful force in people's lives.
Marky Smith is no David
Marky
Bowie.
Smith is no David Bowie. All more power to him for being weird and everything, but I'm telling you, sometimes I think people just go like, wow, this guy really can't sing and his lyrics don't make a whole lot of sense. He must be really, really smart.
Yeah.
Because I really do try to give the benefit of the doubt and go, oh, wow, yeah, this guy might be really smart, but I don't think he's really smart. No. How about that?
Yeah.
I've made that statement on sports radio at 6:20 in the morning. Marky Smith, I don't think was as smart as people said. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. The NBA Finals was a crazy ending last night, big comeback, and so much more. We'll be back in just a moment.
More Toucher and Hardy on the way on the Sports Hub.
got your finger on the pulse, Fred.
Begin your
Seldom
day
right and never wrong.
right here. Is that Toucher or is that Target?
Kinda looks like a poodle. It's an effing poodle, dumbass.
The Sports Hub.
Did you catch a game last night?
Hey, we're Toucher Artie. What happened last night is brought to you by Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, where your hair doesn't have to be a game, but what happens. So change your lettuce and change your life with Dr. Matthew Lepresti at 1-800-GET-HAIR. All right, Hardy, a big goings-on in the NBA last night.
Yes, Oklahoma City Thunder hosting the Indiana Pacers, game 1 of the NBA Finals. Oklahoma City, heavy favorite in this game. Early action had the OKC minus 700 favorite, Pacers plus 500 underdogs. Oklahoma City jumping out to a 29-20 first quarter lead.
Shea on the handle, Halliburton on him, pulls up, pops, angle right three-pointer, looks good, it is, it drops, Cha-ching it under money ball, SGA playing on, splashes the tray.
Yeah. He has to have OCD, right? Like that again, we talk about this all the time, but it is fascinating. He says that after every three, like even when he has to force it in at the beginning.
Yeah.
Now, we've determined that there's no possible sponsor there, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Good.
No. Because no network would allow that. Like no, I don't care where you are. Oklahoma City's not, not a small town in Alaska. Like that's an NBA team. No one would shoehorn a sponsor in like that. But that's not for the benefit of the audience at that point. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's like almost like he's going to get hit by a car on the way home if he doesn't say that.
Oh, wait a second. I don't know that he does it every time. Let's go to his second quarter three-point shot from Shea.
Dove catches his breath on the handle, angle right, dancing on the dribble. Pass feeds to Shea, open, left wing three's on the way. On line, Cha-ching it under money ball. SGA splashes the tray. He has 19 first half points.
I'm not kidding. That's like one of those things that, like, if I don't say this every three-pointer, like, someone in my family's going to die.
It's reminding me of when at the end of the old show, if you wouldn't say bye, Crash would freak out. Like, he would legitimately, not as a bit on the radio, he would get, really anxious about it.
Right, yeah. We talked about, and Crash would twist his thumb in his beer 3 times and then pop it. And if he didn't do that, like, it's OCD.
Let's all love this horse.
Yeah, I kind of missed that, but he's doing this for himself. There's no way this is at the behest of his bosses, the audience, or a sponsor.
Yeah, that's got to be exhausting after a while. I mean, today's NBA, that's got to be exhausting.
Well, yeah, you shoot 63 pointers, you make 28 of them. Yeah, like you make 25 of them. That's 25 cha-ching paste or Thunder
money ball.
Yeah,
splashes the tray. Cha-ching, Thunder money ball.
And he calls that Dubs. He never calls him by his real name. He always Dubs. Everything is the same. He's really bothers me.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Dubs because, first of all, the Pacers turned the ball over 19 times in the first half alone, 25 times throughout the course of the game. They trailed by 15 in the fourth quarter, but what have the Pacers done time and time again in this postseason? And that's come back. What about Dubs?
Bad pass stolen by Dub. He's in the open court. Look out below, baby. Right hand, Statue of Liberty slam. Dub, up and down. Splashes and delivers a sinister right-hand assault to the top.
Okay, all right.
So Lord, stop.
All right, that's
you got to be kidding me. Did you hear all of that stuff?
Now I really want them to lose.
Oh, my God.
I really want them to lose so he doesn't get the pleasure of calling the championship.
That wasn't just a Statue of Liberty slam. That was sinister.
Okay, so you got a 15-point lead now in the fourth quarter. What could possibly stop this? Well, there's one guy in particular who we'll get to, but once again, it was the depth of the Indiana Pacers. We keep talking about the depth of the other teams, Oklahoma City in particular. Sure, on paper, deeper, better. But
Neesmith down the left side, fumbled the dribble, now controls it, runs into a double team in the lane, and sends it out to Toppin, who finds his 5th three-point field goal of the night from the right edge.
2 entirely different games being called. That guy's half asleep.
Right. 5 3-pointers for Toppin. Okay,
Game 1 of the NBA Finals. My man, this is like game 1 of the preseason for this guy.
I'd take that 1,000 times over the guy from Oklahoma City.
Fair enough, but you understand it. Just
No,
weird
I get it.
listening to
But I mean, next to the Thunder guy, I would love every minute of it.
No, you're right.
He's not small town hicking it up.
Yeah.
And they might be down at that point, too. Like, maybe he's kind of resigned that they're going to lose. He doesn't want to overhype the thing. I mean, it was a big comeback.
It was a huge comeback, and it was not complete until Tyrese Halliburton had a chance to hit the go-ahead shot. Tyrese?
Rebound, Indiana. 8 seconds to go. The Pacers are not going to call a timeout. Halliburton has it with 3, driving with 2, pulling up, and hitting with 0.3 of a second to go. How many more times can this team do that?
Sweet baby.
Okay. Yeah, so representative call.
Yes.
Big play. Didn't oversell it.
Yep.
And interesting, before that, obviously there was the Thunder had the ball before that, and the chance to go up 3 or go up 4, and Gilgeous-Alexander inbound play, and they stopped them. So that gave them the opportunity with 13 seconds left to score. They don't call the timeout.
Yeah.
Which is what we killed the Celtics for not doing. And there you go. So the Indiana, right, they make the big stop at the end of the game because 0.3 seconds left. They got the ball back and didn't do anything. But before that, they stopped Gilgeous. Is it Gilgeous or Gilgis? Gilgeous, right.
Like
so I said that right.
Gilgeous, yeah.
Gilgeous-Alexander. Gilgeous-Alexander stopped them, got the ball. You heard, and then you go, Halliburton.
Indiana was so terrible for most of this game. Oklahoma City, as Hardy said, forced 24 turnovers at 19 in the first half, but they never got too far ahead. They looked, if you watch the game, it looked like they were dominating the game. And I was talking about earlier this week about the Oklahoma City defense. It's fantastic. Indiana couldn't do anything. And there they were, within range at the end of the game. I don't know what happened. I think Oklahoma City took 16 more shots in this game.
Yeah. I think they had 16 more field goal attempts. Like Hardy said, there was only 6 turnovers in the second half or something like that. But yeah, if you saw the highlights of the first half at halftime, it looked like Indiana was a JV team. Like
they should have been down 25.
Yeah, they were like dribbling into guys.
Yeah.
And they were really, but the points off turnovers was, I think, like 8, off of those 20 some odd turnovers.
19 turnovers, 9 points off turnovers of those 19 turnovers in the first half. And the other difference is the rebounding. Indiana had, I think, 17 or 18 more rebounds in this game. And the thing is, Indiana's not a good rebounding team.
Yeah,
they were bottom 5 in the league during the season.
And Oklahoma City's huge, so I don't understand how that happens.
Very odd. Nesmith had 12 rebounds. Siakam had 10. Halliburton had 10. I mean, that shouldn't happen. You're right. Oklahoma City is a much bigger team. I don't know what happened. It was a very, very strange game in the fourth quarter.
Carlisle talked about it, and this is about the point where I turned it off. It was around halftime. I'm like, I can't do this. Too late. It's a long week. But there was actual audio of him from, I think it was real time or like shortly after halftime, where he was like, all right, we're down 12. Like, all right. Whatever. We've been in this spot before. He said his attitude was based on the way we're playing. This is about right. It's not insurmountable, which is the attitude that you would expect a coach to have. But he really seemed unfazed by it. He's not losing his mind. Well, not playing great. We're down 12. All right. Well, let's go out there and turn this thing around. So, and as you heard Fred already say, nothing in the last 0.3 seconds. So the Pacers, 111-110 over the Thunder. And, what did Shai Gilgeous-Alexander have to say about all this?
Yeah, we just got to focus on being better. The series isn't 1st to 1, it's 1st to 4. So we have 4 more games to get. They have 3, and that's just where we are. We got to understand that, and we got to get to 4 before they get to 3 if we want to win the NBA championship, and it's that simple. It's not rocket science. We lost game 1. We have to be better.
If you see those fans in Oklahoma City, they all wear their T-shirts. They all stand up before Oklahoma City scores a basket. They're all. It's a college atmosphere.
I was going to say college. It looks
it's
like
a college atmosphere,
which is fun. Good.
No, it's
yeah.
they're crazy there. And for Indiana to go in there with not a lot of experience, I mean, the head coach Carlisle's already won an NBA championship, but the players to go in there and do that is amazing.
Well, it's funny. I heard the very end of Felger and Maz yesterday, and they were crapping all over them for wearing T-shirts because there was nothing to do after the game.
They're right.
It's like, what are you going to wear to a game? A suit and tie?
Show some respect.
1962 at the Garden, and everyone's like got fedoras and suits on. You're flying on a Pan Am flight afterwards. Like, what the hell are you wearing to a game?
Good pull.
You know, yeah. I mean, you know,
TWA.
Why don't people dress up anymore?
Halliburton understands that this is probably not the way they want to play the rest of this series, even if they win.
This game, if you look at all the numbers, it's not the recipe to win. We can't turn the ball over that much. We got to do a better job of being in gaps. Got to do a better job of rebounding. Got to do a better job all over the floor. But come May and June, it doesn't matter how you get them, just get them. You know, so we'll take it. You know, we'll enjoy this one tonight. But understand we got another game coming up in this tough building, and we got to be prepared for that. So, like I said, we're just a confident group. We got each other's back.
All right. So there we go. Game 2 tomorrow night.
Sunday night.
Oh, that's right. They get the extra day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's plenty of time to enjoy the area. Oklahoma City has tons to do, so why not spend the extra day there?
I bet they got a great zoo there.
They have no.
Am I thinking Omaha?
Yeah. No. I'll give you a perfect example.
They're not even in the same state. It's a big difference between Nebraska and Oklahoma.
I know.
No.
It's quite I mean, it's certainly diversity-wise.
No, there's nothing to do there.
No. Yeah, you've been there.
I can tell you when I was traveling with the Celtics, they had not a back-to-back, but like an extra day off. They had an extra day off after an Oklahoma City game, and the next city was Dallas. They spent 48 hours in Dallas rather than spend an extra 12 hours in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
The second the game was over, let's get to the airport.
Oklahoma City Zoo. You've got the Myriad Botanical Gardens and the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum. I don't know if 2 days is enough.
You know what's funny? Someone sent me a tongue-in-cheek email yesterday that actually had me look it up. They were like, Edmonton has like over 1 million residents, and Boston has 800 and 1,000 or something. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So I looked at the metro areas, and it was like Boston has close to 6 million, and Edmonton has like basically 1 million. But then I wonder how many people live in Oklahoma City metro area, like not city proper, but Oklahoma City metro area. Because this might be one of these Jacksonvilles that's like 70 miles by 70 miles.
I can see it being. I don't know the answer to that. But
Yeah,
I can
yeah,
see,
well,
I
it's
can
a million
see
and
it
a half.
spread out. I can see
It's
it
a million and a
totally
half
spread out.
in the metro
population.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
No, literally downtown is 2 or 3 blocks.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
not-
1.5 million metro population. I mean, that's no good. That's not a good. That's not a good size
It's a
town.
bad version of Indianapolis.
And how, even with that many people, how is it not at all like cooler? Like Lawrence, Kansas is kind of a cool city. Tulsa, Oklahoma is kind of a cool city. Like they all have things going for them where you could spend 2 days there and be like, okay. Like to my understanding, if you go to Tulsa, like 2 days in Tulsa, there's a little bit of a music scene, there's a little bit of an art scene, there's a little bit of a restaurant scene, bar scene. Like it's like kind of like a like people move there. Like in Mississippi, like Oxford, Mississippi, like there's like this kind of in like a very hillbilly state. There's this kind of like oasis of you know great writers and artists and stuff, like these southern artists, like they all like live in this, apparently like it's kind of like there's cool stuff to do,
but goddamn hippies.
Exactly, that's part of kind of the point.
The beginning of the NBA Finals game last night, I don't know if you were watching at the beginning, you see they show the big overhead shot of the Paycom Center where Oklahoma City plays. There's like one building in the background, and then it's flat to the horizon after that. That's facing away from downtown, and that was on purpose, because if they had flipped the camera and gone the other way, you would have seen how poor a city that thing is. They wanted some shot of scenery that actually looked like there were big buildings there. There's one hotel that's like 10 floors right next to the building, and that's it.
What about the ocean? Or one of those Great Lakes? You know, all the shipping that was going into Oklahoma City.
I've never been to Oklahoma City, but I bet there are like nooks and crannies of it. Like in Omaha, there's Old Town. There's like, that's the cool spot to go to, and you can like spend an evening there and be perfectly happy. I'm sure Oklahoma City has its cool little spots.
Okay, I can tell you this.
Yeah.
No.
You know what doesn't have a cool
Oh,
spot?
because you couldn't find them, Wallach? You didn't sniff out the hip joints
It took
in a
me
town?
15 minutes to walk around there.
Oh, it took you 15 minutes to find your corrective shoes.
So my ex-wife and I one time were in Knoxville at my parents' house, and we decided we would go into downtown Knoxville. Like, you know, University of Tennessee's kind of around there.
Yeah.
There's got to be something, right? Oh, no. Not even an evening in Knoxville. Not even an evening in Knoxville. Not enough to do for an evening in Knoxville. Like, there was an ice skating rink in, like, the big thing downtown is, like, from the World's Fair of, like, 1972. There's, like a bubble. There's a Simpsons episode where they kind of make fun of that, where the Bart and his friends, like, steal a car and take it, and they pick a place on the map, and it's Knoxville because it's an old map, and they think the World's Fair is there. And so they end up in Knoxville. Like, Knoxville is a real dump. Like, not even so much a dump, it's just there's nothing to do. And that's kind of how I'm envisioning Oklahoma City. Like, if Knoxville had a professional sports franchise, you'd be like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah. I've only been to Knoxville once, and it was a really long time ago. You've seen it far more recently than I have.
Oh, yeah. I
but
see it all the time.
To my memory, Knoxville is much better than Oklahoma
Well,
City.
that's saying something because there's nothing there.
I mean, but Knoxville has, like, the football stadium there. They have
Well, that's the college,
I
right?
spoke
Well,
with
what
a
I'm
man.
saying is at least it's there. Oklahoma State isn't in Oklahoma City.
Right.
I
And
spoke
University
with
of Oklahoma's not
A
there.
man yesterday who's going to be on this week's Sports Hub Golf Club. He's from Knoxville, and he was.
We're not getting a break on time, just some warning.
He was a delight, and I think
My parents have lived there for 20 years. I like where my parents lived. I'm just telling you, downtown Knoxville.
Why
there's
can't
nothing
you
there.
go downtown and just talk to some nice people and enjoy the city?
I gotta let you go.
Because they're obsessed with Colin Kaepernick. All right, we'll be back. Here are the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Bruins yesterday morning hired their former player turned LA Kings minor league coach Marco Sturm as their new head coach. He's the 30th head coach in franchise history. Former Bruins interim head coach Joe Sacco has been hired as a new assistant with the New York Rangers. Florida Panthers visit Edmonton tonight for Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals, down 1-0. At the NBA Finals, Tyrese Halliburton won it with 0.3 seconds left. Indiana beat the Oklahoma City Thunder 111-110 in Game 1 of the NBA Finals. After 5 months of waiting, Pittsburgh Steelers have finally agreed to terms on a one-year contract with free agent quarterback Aaron Rodgers. And the Red Sox visit the Yankees tonight. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com for 15% off a drive-through oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, the official oil change of busy people. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7 o'clock.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
newsstand, but make sure you bring the Sports Hub app with you so you can hear more of Todger and Hardy
That's what I want on my tombstone.
on the Sports Hub.
If you haven't checked it out, that is something to behold. Hachi Machi. Who would have predicted that this would have happened? I was just telling these guys, like, everyone was like, this is going to blow up. And I'm like, oh, yeah, really? And they're like, yeah, this is going to blow
Finally,
up.
X is good for something. Just watching that happen in real time.
Yeah. You got to get True Soldier. You got to be on everything.
Yeah.
They're going back and forth on their respective platforms.
Yeah.
It really is extraordinarily interesting.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on there. You know, you can get into the Yankees Red Sox game in New York today for $34.
Interesting.
Wallach said it at his headline there to start the show. Maybe you just said it again, John, if I missed it. First meeting between these two.
Correct.
This season. Were you
first time all season?
Were you aware of that, Fred?
Yes, because Boston has been the beneficiaries of a very easy schedule so far, which is why we had discussed this before. It was very important that they had racked up some wins before now.
That's right, because now things tend to get a little bit more difficult. And the other thing is Major League Baseball changed the imbalanced schedule. I think it was 2023. So instead of playing each division foe 19 times, I think you only play them 13. So that combined with an easy schedule stacked at the beginning, now things get fun. Now they have the Yankees for 3 starting tonight. Good news for the Red Sox is they avoid Max Fried, who was probably going to start the All-Star game for the American League. He pitched last night, so you don't have to face him. But
you think he'll start and not Scooble? Red Sox pitch.
Yeah. I agree. They have Hunter Dobbins going Sunday night. I have Bueller, who's been wildly up and down this evening. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and has Rodon been bad?
No, Rodon's been good too.
Yes. Yes, I'm looking now. Yeah, he's been really good.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, not good news if you're the Red Sox.
No, none of this is good news.
They needed that. They needed that win 2 days ago, though.
You have Ref Snyder, Abraham Toro, and Romy Gonzalez through the middle of your order at this point. They're not good. Not good at all.
No.
Do you want to get into the Aaron Rodgers stuff, or you want to wait for Albert?
We can wait for Albert. I can tell you this, that if you'll be listening in 1 minute, you'll get a chance for a pair of tickets to the Gab Fest, the first beer fest at the Great American Beer Hall in Medford. So really, it's just a matter of time ticking at this point before I
hurry up, Hardy.
Before I give.
I'm not doing that. No.
Well, there's nothing else is going on.
Okay.
I mean, unless you want to get into the Cardinals doubleheader, which was the big split last night.
No.
With Contreras with his first walk-off RBI of the season in Game 1.
Cardinals over 500?
Yeah, they're like 4 games over 500.
Okay.
But they lost the series to Kansas City. So what are you going to do?
Oh, Kyle Teal, former Red Sox prospect, called up. Going to play for the White Sox tonight. There you go.
Oh, that's interesting.
There you go.
There you have it.
And Craig Kimbrell called up by the Atlanta Braves.
Oh, will he be Kimbrelling?
Apparently so.
That was a thing.
Atlanta blew a 6-run ninth-inning lead last night.
Yes.
And the first thing they did was call up Craig Kimbrell to help the bullpen. He's 37.
What has Kimbrell been doing?
He's been pitching for AAA. Gwinnett.
Wow, that's funny. Gwinnett is the same city they play in. So they So Kimbrell just dicked around in AAA this year?
That's correct.
He decided not to retire.
Nope.
He's just going to dick around in AAA?
He pitched, 15 games at AAA.
Jesus Christ.
And so they called him up. He's going to pitch for him tonight.
Hachi Machi.
Atlanta, yeah.
Kimbrell at 37, just riding the bus.
Yep.
All right. Caller number 10 in the contest line, 617-931-0985. We'll score a pair of tickets, general admission tickets for Session 2 of Gab Fest, the first beer fest at the Great American Beer Hall in Medford, Massachusetts on Saturday, June 14th. Enjoy more than 30 different beers, live music, DJs, and nonstop entertainment. For more info and Eventbrite tickets, visit GABHall.com. GABHall.com. Thank you, Arthur P. That's right. Bert Breer is scheduled to be here coming up. We'll have him in just a moment.
business is running. Keep working hard and finish every job strong.
From the Tell Your Tire Studios, WBZ FM and HD1. It's not just the games. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines, presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Yesterday morning, the Bruins finally hired their new head coach, and it's a former forward of theirs, Marco Sturm. He played 5 years here after coming over in the now infamous Joe Thornton trade with San Jose and spent the last 3 seasons as the head coach of the LA Kings' top minor league affiliate. The man he's replacing, Bruins interim head coach Joe Sacco, has been hired by the New York Rangers as a new assistant coach. In Edmonton tonight, the Oilers play Florida in Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals, leading 1-0. NBA MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 38 points last night, but Oklahoma City still kicked away a 15-point fourth-quarter lead and lost to Indiana 111-110 in Game 1 of the NBA Finals.
Yeah, we just got to focus on being better. The series isn't 1-1, it's 1-4. So we have 4 more games to get. They have 3, and that's just where we are. We got to understand that, and we got to get to 4 before they get to 3 if we want to win the NBA championship, and it's that simple. It's not rocket science. We lost Game 1. We have to be better.
Tyrese Halliburton won the game with 0.3 seconds left. Game 2 is Sunday night. With mandatory minicamp coming up next week, Aaron Rodgers has finally agreed to a 1-year contract with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Red Sox had last night off. They pitch Walker Buehler tonight at the stadium against the first-place Yankees. It is the first time these two teams have met all season. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Rapid Flow Sewer and Drain Cleaning. This summer, a tree root could damage your sewer line. Do what Beetle did. Get the permanent fix with no-dig pipelining technology. 800-286-FLOW or rapidflowinc.com, where one call solves it all. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
No matter where you go, you're always connected to Boston sports with the 98.5 The Sports Hub app. Download it wherever you get your apps today.
Is elongating.
Weekday morning.
Here goes Hardy.
Toucher and Hardy.
I no longer love things.
Let's go. Let's ride.
98.5.
Let's roll the dice.
The Sports Hub.
This is something that the Steelers had been focused on for months. And as much as Aaron Rodgers mulled his options, including retirement, including potential other playing options, it had been apparent for a couple months that if he was going to play, it was going to be in Pittsburgh. So what I can tell you today is that Aaron Rodgers now plans to fly on Friday to Pittsburgh, finalize and sign his contract, and be on the field for next week's mandatory minicamp.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. You can watch us on YouTube. And that is always fun to do. You can subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub, and then it does us great favors. Because if you get like 100,000, 200,000 YouTube followers, you're raking it in. You understand? If I gave Instagram my social security number, I have $500 waiting for me.
Wow.
I somehow just don't, I feel very uncomfortable giving them my social security number. Because they already know I'm in defeat. And now if I give my social security number, they can really hold me against the wall. Because they'll see that, like, you know, how many socks I bought.
Somebody told me that, like, if I sign up for, like, the Twitter, like that thing where you get paid for engagement, they'll give me, like, based on my following, like $6,000 or $7,000 in back pay.
I totally do it.
I thought about.
What are you
that.
waiting for?
Yeah, I mean, I
think John's being sarcastic, Bert. And
yes, I am. I'm being very sarcastic.
And that doesn't sound
but it's
right.
Like, but it's
they're gonna pay you.
Yeah, no,
back pay.
I know people who've done it. Yeah, like people in my business, I know people who have done it who've gotten the money.
How much engagement are you still
100%.
getting? How much from engagement are you still getting from Twitter?
I mean, I still get a fair amount. It's more. I think a lot of the engagement you get at this point is
I mean engagement in terms of to your articles, like how much of your.
But that was never great. Like that was never like the as far as like redirecting traffic towards your own website. I think Twitter's always been sort of weak there. Like they always told us, like, there was a time when we were told to like focus on Facebook, where Facebook.
Yes,
we had
that was the same thing.
Yeah, where Facebook was really, really strong, and I don't know if that's the case anymore. But I know, really since the start of it, I feel like Twitter's been it does not generate that much traffic.
So I got off of Facebook because after I got divorced,
Twitter's more of just like a scoreboard for people in my business. Go ahead.
After I got off Facebook, after I got divorced, I did everything I needed to do on Facebook. If you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
I engaged with who I needed to
I'm
engage.
picking
with.
up what you're putting down.
And then it was time to skedaddle because it was the same two people every time. And then I got off of Twitter because I had to get off of Twitter because of my own crap with it. But then I
take it seriously, it can be bad for your mental health.
Well, yeah,
there was a weekend in particular.
Yeah. Well, that's been well covered. How dare you, Jonathan, bring up the past? Right. And then but then I had them to just still get stuff, and then that started bothering me, and I got rid of that. And I got to tell you, there's nothing I've missed out on. I
don't know. I know barely anyone my age. Like my friends, my wife. My wife hasn't been on Twitter for over a decade. It's increasingly becoming a media circle session.
I don't know anyone. Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't
know anyone.
Because when I got off of it, I asked friends of mine that weren't in radio or television or writers. I asked them, "Are you on Twitter?" And most of them had never even been on it. Yeah. So I went, what the hell is the point of this exercise?
I think the idea of it, for me at least, is it's a news feed to make sure that I'm up on absolutely everything. And
right.
I think it still is effective.
You need to know, John kind of needs to be on it because, if Sturm gets hired as the head coach.
No better example. We would have missed that if I wasn't on it.
Right. So, yesterday. I don't. Because there's nothing in my life I need to know immediately.
But, John, I don't think there's anything else like it from that standpoint.
No, there's nothing else like it.
No. It just spits whatever.
Yeah, right. Because the algorithm of Instagram, you might not see it.
Yeah.
So, for someone who's live reporting news, you, John.
Yes. Yeah.
That needs to be seen. But for someone like me who's just commenting on things at my leisure.
God, that would be so liberating.
I don't need to be on it. And
God, that would be so liberating.
And then when you get off of Twitter, you realize there's this things that you think were happening in real life that aren't because or people that you think maybe people are listening to in real life that aren't because once you remove yourself from Twitter, they cease to enter your world.
I've told people this that are younger in our business that feel like the world is crashing down on them when something bad happens.
Yeah.
And I think I've said it here too before. The superpower of social media is it makes 50 people coming after you feel like 50,000 people are coming after you.
Well, that's people that are with media groups will be like, I'm gonna ruin your life. I'm gonna sick all my people on you. Well, if you're not on Twitter, then what are they gonna do to you? Email you?
Yeah.
I don't understand. Now they can cause a huff with your bosses and stuff. Mean, when you get a motivated group, but
most
attention span.
Most people are motivated enough to do that. It's very easy to send a tweet. There's nothing easier than that.
If your company realizes that these things tend to die down quickly, and doesn't overreact, then you're all right. But they can make things uncomfortable for your bosses for a couple days while they're motivated. But other than that. But yes, the Twitter thing. But
although there were some pretty powerful people getting into it on Twitter last night, right?
Well, nothing's happened yet, so we'll see if there's anything that happens.
Just a lot of verbal shots going back and forth, which is fun in itself.
But it was funny because one guy owns.
It's great to be a spectator.
No, it was really interesting. Really
much fun.
But it's interesting because one guy owns one and the other guy owns the other.
I know.
Yeah. But Musk, I'm just reading now, seems to be willing to reconcile, which is
disappointing.
Well, I'm sure Trump is more than willing to do that.
Oh, I don't know if Trump would be above reconciling with getting this calmed down. I think that Trump wouldn't mind so much that the most wealthy man in the world is cooled off a little bit.
I don't longer has the crosshair.
I understand what you're saying, but I think in this instance, Trump wouldn't be opposed to this calming down a little bit.
Dude, if it was anybody but Trump, wouldn't like the Epstein thing be like something you could not come back from? You know what I mean? Like, if somebody said you are in the Epstein files.
I know that would panic a lot of people.
Here's the two. Here's the
If it
two
was
things.
anybody but Trump, that would be one. Like,
here's
not
here's
come
the
back
true.
from.
The thing though is that Trump could be in the Epstein files and it not mean anything. Like for instance, just because you're in the Epstein files
Right.
doesn't mean you
Right.
did anything.
Yeah.
There's people that knew him that would be in it. There's people that maybe were ancillary towards something So in and of itself, the allegation of being in the Epstein files doesn't mean you did anything necessarily wrong. Now, I don't believe that that Musk will ever go I actually didn't know that. There's no way that's going to happen. He's never going to back down from that. But in this cannon fodder of this all this accusations going around and everything that's going around, I don't believe that anyone on the other side can properly weaponize that as anything that will stick to Trump.
Yeah, but I would say that what I'm trying to say though is somebody accusing you of being in the Epstein files.
But what I'm saying
the
to you,
relationship would be irreparable.
But I'm saying that's not the case. Well, yeah, I don't think they're going to hang out again. But who knows even if that's true? What I'm saying is that nothing has been said that's going to stick.
Right.
Right. Unless
to
Musk and him keep fighting, and Musk keeps doubling down and pulling money and stuff like that,
which he's got the power to do because he's like one of the few people.
Well, he's got $100 million in political donations that that he's promised that yet to be delivered.
He's one of the few people in Trump's orbit who doesn't need Trump whatsoever.
Well, he does, because that's not true either. So yes, he does, Bert. There's billions of dollars in government money that he's owed.
Yeah.
Watch Tesla's stock. If what Bannon wants to happen and they dump SpaceX, which I don't know if they could do either, but if they dump SpaceX and get rid of all these government under Biden gave Tesla billions and billions of dollars. If they do happen to rescind that money, that's very, very difficult for Musk.
Oh yeah, it would hurt him for sure. But I wonder how much Musk looks at the future and thinks how much of it is about Tesla, how much about SpaceX, how much is about controlling the ability to communicate on this planet through Starlink. And when he's looking long-term, big picture, he's like, anybody can come after me for any one of these other businesses that I have, whether it's Tesla or Twitter or anything else. If I control people's ability to communicate all over the globe with Starlink, I can write my own ticket and I can do and say whatever I want.
But I wonder how much of that success of that is based on government subsidies and tax, incentives. I wonder. I mean, he gets billions and billions and billions of dollars. I don't care how rich you are. He's dependent a lot on government funding on numerous accounts. So they both have a lot to lose. And, what Bannon wants to have happen is they want to investigate his status as a citizen in the country. They want to go after his drug use. There's this big rumor out there that Musk is got a bunch of drug issues, and those are just allegations. I don't know, obviously, if any of this is true, but it is interesting. But no, they both have a lot to lose. Trump has a lot of money and political clout that he could lose, and Musk has a lot of money and political clout that he could lose. So Musk kind of was. There was a conciliatory thing. There, someone said it's best if these guys get it together, and Musk said you're not wrong. So who knows what will happen today?
The larger point, I was trying to make though, is he's one of the few people that have the financial wherewithal to withstand all of this.
He's one of the people that doesn't have he's not indebted to Trump supporting him. Yeah. Yes, that is true. But if Trump goes nuclear on him, and then he stands to lose a lot. But yeah, in terms of public opinion or Like he can't like if Trump badmouths him, he's got to cower and hide in a corner. No, that's
How
not true.
ridiculous is that this is all taking place on Twitter?
It's awesome.
No, it's not. Some of it's on Truth Social. Only one side of it.
And you're not paying attention.
All right, since we're talking about it, and obviously none of
How
us.
stupid is it? This whole thing's playing.
Obviously, let me just blanket this. None of us know what we're talking about.
Right.
But
true.
But
sure. My Twitter's probably filled up, right?
It is being well, no one said any. I mean, we're just saying what is being said. One of the things that's interesting is that people are pointing to what will aggravate Trump the most is that Musk put up a poll if there should be a third party because Trump has ruined the Republicans, essentially, like in a broad band. And 80% of the 2 million respondents at the time I had read the story had responded that there should be. People are speculating that that's going to bother him the most. That he's gotten 2 million people to say we don't like Trump, which is I guess, his kryptonite, according to what I've read yesterday, which you had to read about it. I mean, it is very interesting, even from a soap opera aspect. I mean, no one can claim it's not interesting. It's certainly more interesting than Oklahoma City, Indiana. 2-0 towns where nothing's going on.
You're getting a lot of pushback on some of your town talk here earlier this morning.
Have you been to Oklahoma City, Bert?
Wait, what's the pushback on my town talk? All right, don't have secondary conversations. Jesus Christ, you two. You do it every time you're on. We're focused on one thing.
Okay.
What is the thing?
And that is the topic of the day, Knoxville. And you viciously attacked the city of Knoxville earlier this morning, Fred.
Okay, who knows more about Knoxville than me in the listening audience? Okay, go ahead.
You're so far off on this Knoxville take.
That is ridiculous. I have been to Knoxville more than Sully. There's no way, even if he went to Tennessee, that he's been more to Knoxville in the last 20 years than I have.
I'm from Boston, writes Sully, but I've lived in Knoxville for 4 years.
Well, I lived in Knoxville for about a year during COVID, and get out of here. I know more about Knoxville than Sully does.
He's lived there 4 times longer than you did, and you weren't a permanent resident. Ooh. May I continue, please?
Where in Knoxville did he live? What part of Knoxville?
He doesn't give his address, but he says downtown Knoxville has Market Square, which is full of live music venues and restaurants.
Nonsense.
Preservation Pub has a lot of bands on the way come up through there. There's Gay Street outside of there again with more bars.
The less said about that, the better.
And then Old City. Old City
is a block. No way. Get out of here. I wish Knoxville was nice. Believe me. Farragut is where everything is, and that's a suburb of mini malls.
He also says outside of Knoxville downtown, there's a lot of breweries.
Well, there you go. Well, I stand corrected.
At any rate, it's a lot better than you described.
No, it's not. It's not. I wish it was. What the hell? I wish it was. There's a chance I might keep my parents' house when they died 20 years from now.
A chance? No, you're definitely keeping
No, there's
that
no
house.
chance you're going to because they did a reverse mortgage. I spoke with your mother about it.
Right?
My father is big on
another
that kind of stuff.
Focus.
No, my father does. Yeah, Jesus. God, I'm sick of you two. Every week with you two. Am I wrong, Adam? Those two have side conversations. It's absolutely ludicrous. I've never been on the radio. Your mic's off. This is 2 weeks in a row. I've never been on a radio show with two people that have side conversations. Hardy was quiet for the first 10 minutes of the thing, and then these two have side conversations. It's really unbelievable.
You know what?
It sounds like a podcast.
I say let's go to break and let them finish their conversation. Then we can come back.
All right. Now, you're no help either.
What do you want?
It's 21. I'm not way late.
I didn't say you were late. I'm just coming up with a solution. No, not at all.
Me.
It's a good solution. Everybody wins. We get to break on time. They get to finish their conversation, and then we get to have a restart.
There's a lot of gaslighting. That's gaslighting, I think.
Who gas?
Okay. 12 gaslighted you.
No, I didn't. God damn it. Now he's
now
pissing me off.
Now you said it. All right. Everyone agrees that I'm the only one who's not wrong. All right. Stop having side. I'm not
Isolate
kidding.
that, please. That's a good.
Stop having side conversations. I'm I'm serious.
Even though it's personal.
I'm not mad. I'm joking about that. But you two got to stop having side
Fair
conversations on air.
Fair enough.
It sounds like a podcast. It sounds like Doughboys. Wait, I'm trying. Probably a good podcast. I'm just saying. Adolfo filleted them for so long. I feel like I need to say something negative. No side conversations.
Are you prepared? Did you prepare?
No.
All right, I'm watching the two of you. All right, very good. We'll be right back.
The Green Bay Packers have won the Super Bowl. The Lombardi Trophy is coming home.
So it's not even on the table anymore. But why would you not touch another man's stomach?
It just feels weird to me.
I wouldn't touch your stomach.
Okay, so you would touch another man's stomach.
Sure.
Okay, but why would you two not touch a man's stomach?
I wouldn't do it. I don't know. It just
I
feels
touch
strange.
your stomach.
Okay.
You didn't ask me. You only asked Nick. I'd have touched it.
Okay, good. I would touch your stomach.
Yeah.
I would only touch it if you would allow me to really probe and maybe do some in-studio surgery, because that I get off on.
No, that's not
Marty.
true. It's the human body, not electrical.
Artie, I got this. 2 blades, 2 sizes.
Yeah, I need
okay?
my.
Oh yeah, he's got his pocket.
But
knife.
it's at navel level. It's not like under my pants. You really wouldn't touch another man's
See,
stomach.
I think it would be based on, because it's a weird thing to ask another guy. I think it would be based on your approach. Like if there was if you were like expressing real concern, then yeah, I would touch your stomach.
yeah.
If it was more like, hey, come touch my stomach, then that'd be something else.
I would touch Beaton's stomach because he's young and clean and trim, and I think I'd actually enjoy that a little bit.
If the situation was in
Can
here,
I
and
go in there?
if the situation was in here and he pulled up his shirt and there was his rippling muscles from before, not now. Now he's not so skinny. But
The
when
situation isn't?
No. He's an older man.
He
now.
was in jail, wasn't he, for a while, right?
He did white collar jail with the Friar Fest guy. It didn't count as jail,
Right.
But you wouldn't if he goes touch my stomach, you wouldn't touch the
I
stomach.
would touch a lot of men's stomach. I'm not touching your stomach.
It's because I know why I have the lump, but I think the lump's interesting. I think that you guys would. I think you'd be more interested in anything else. I'll give you an example, and then we'll get to football. I swear to God, it's been a half an hour. We haven't talked about football, but listen, it is June. Kid in my fraternity got hit with a crossball in high school. Ball blew up to huge size, never went down. Would you want to see the nut? Would you want to see it?
I say yes, but I've seen some other instances like after procedures where I'm like, oh yeah, I want to see that. And the second I saw it, I
you'd want to
realized
see
that I
this.
made a mistake.
You'd want to see this. It was quite an oddity.
I think
Because I got news for you. No one said no.
Yeah,
and
that's the thing.
and none of us were unhappy about the decision.
I think I would probably have a hard time saying no. It feels like one of those things that, like, if you're in here in the midday, Zolak would be looking at it in the break and then turn the computer screen towards you.
Yeah.
Zolak's like Mr. Pimple Popper. You got to see this. You got to see it. It's always been like that.
See, the
forever.
thing is that you did want to see the nut, and you would have, and not one man, woman, or man or woman. I was going to say child, but that was not on the table. Man or woman did not. Everyone wanted to see the testicle of the man. He got hit with a lacrosse ball, it never went down. Size of a racquetball. One of them, too, not both, just one.
What are the odds of that? Just one.
Hard to say. It was strange. It was something else. It was a curiosity.
No,
I'll
but
tell
I mean,
you that.
You only get hit in one ball. It's not like the
Yeah,
balls
yeah.
are separated by.
No,
a
he
lot.
got hit in one ball.
I know,
apparently.
but I mean, I'm just gonna say the odds of that happening are strange.
Well, the odds of playing lacrosse without a cup on, I don't understand why you did it. But then again, I don't know anyone who plays baseball with a cup on. So there we go, except for catchers. All right, Bert. I apologize. I've dragged this out long
need to
enough.
apologize.
All right. So here's the deal. Aaron Rodgers is now a Steeler. It is interesting they're playing at MetLife. So good luck with that, Aaron. That crowd, woo, they'll really be interested for 2 minutes until they're down by 30. But all right. So here he is. Was this ever at doubt? Because I'm hearing different things. You're an insider. Inside as anyone I know. Was this ever in doubt?
No. The people I talked to talking to Steelers people the last couple of weeks, it was like, well, we're expecting him. And talking to people who knew Aaron really well, I talked to a couple people who are exceptionally close to him and have been over the last week and a half.
So there's like one guy you could talk to.
Week and a half. Well, not close to him from a football standpoint. Who basically said to me, like, almost dismissed the idea it wasn't going to. No, it's done. It's done. And so, like, this is. I mean, I think the main reason, like, we all had to wait this long is because of what happened last year, and with the Egypt thing and everything else, like, because of the backlash of that, which really pissed him off. And we can talk about the hypocrisy of that if you want, like him being pissed off about that.
I would love to.
But like, he really, it pissed it pissed him off, and I can understand this part of it. Like, it pissed him off that he showed up to 8 weeks of the off-season program and then missed the last week, and everybody made a big deal out of it. And yet, like Lamar Jackson only showed up to the last week, and it was no big deal. So he thought it was just – it became like a story that bled all the way into September and October, and he didn't want to deal with that again. So he made the conscious decision, at least as I've heard it, that I'm going to just take care of my personal matters, my personal business. I'm going to do my traveling, and then I'm going to sign, and I'm going to be all in. And so now he's signed and is ostensibly all in.
So there's no truth to the theory that, I screw the voluntary stuff. I'm not showing up to the voluntary stuff only when mandatory minicamp. I mean, the timing is odd. It's 3 days before mandatory minicamp.
The personal stuff, there was legitimacy to that. I also, and look, like I'm 100% in the camp that this stuff does matter, right? Like, so the stuff in May and June, you wouldn't do it if it didn't matter.
Well, it certainly did with the Jets. He missed that stuff. The Jets sucked. I mean, seriously.
No, but he was last year. He was there for.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I apologize. I'm completely wrong. They were sucked even if he was there.
But what has the Aaron Rodgers done or said to give us the benefit of the doubt and say, you know what? He legitimately had 2 important weddings to attend, during the voluntaries and the OTAs and all that stuff. And this is just a coincidence that he's signing right before the mandatory stuff begins. I mean,
I don't think it's a coincidence. The other thing I would tell you is the Steelers told him this was important. The Steelers told him, like, we're okay, but we do want you there for the mandatory minicamp. That's something that was that was something that was clear was made clear.
If it was another organization, could they have done this? Like, is the presence and the security that Tomlin has, the tenure Tomlin has?
I think it's the spot they're in too. Like, T.J. Watt's going to be 31, Minkah Fitzpatrick's going to be 29, Cam Hayward's at the very end of his career, DK Metcalf, who they just acquired, is on a 3rd contract. I mean, they are leveraged for right now.
No, but I also meant, like, being able to know that he was going to sign and waiting it out. Like, not so much needing him, kind of the opposite of, like, we are established enough to not have this be a big issue. Like, another team, for instance, the Jets. Like, if the Jets... The roles reversed. He had been on the Steelers, and the Jets were waiting for him.
The Jets would probably be like what you're saying.
It'd be a circus.
They'd be fidgety, and it'd be like, okay, like we need to manage this from a public perception standpoint. Whereas, like, the Steelers just sort of sat there, and let it.
The Steelers had the ability to just sit there and just not say anything.
Right.
The Jets, under no circumstances, would be able to do that.
Yeah,
and flip out.
Yeah, and that's probably part of it. I think I guess the track record of your organization, you get grandfathered that privilege,
right?
Like that. It's like you've done a lot of things right over the years, and it hasn't been perfect the last few years, but you've got an accomplished head coach, you've got a front office that's been in place forever. The general manager is still relatively new there, but he worked under the previous general, so there's a ton of stability. So I think that's definitely part of it. It's like, when the Steelers say, trust us, we got this, it's a lot easier to believe them than it would be another team.
Do you play, because it sounded like people, not you, it sounded like, though, that some people were trying to make this like into a big story later, going in with just Mason Rudolph, and it never really...
They never thought that was going to happen.
Yeah, exactly, and it never really took off.
The Kirk Cousins thing was sort of a consideration for them. It was like something we're keeping in our back pocket.
Sure.
Like, if we need to do something... like, we could make that phone call. I don't think they were ever going into the season with Mason Rudolph.
Okay, 2 things on Rodgers. Do people? Because I know it's one of those things like Kyrie Irving. Like, the media all craps on him, but it seems like players love. I know players love Kyrie Irving. Do players still like Rodgers?
Yes, I would say for the most part, yes. It's not perfect, but it's never perfect. I would say one of the things I respect about Aaron. And I think one of the things players respect about Aaron is that he only punches up. If you look at his track record from Green Bay and the Jets, the people he generally has problems with are the people above him. You won't hear bad things about him from the guy in the training room. You won't hear bad things about him from the guy in the equipment room. You won't hear bad things about him from the 50th guy on the roster. Like, he generally, when he gets into and like, obviously there's no sugarcoating that. There's a ton of drama with him. But when you've seen him fight people, like, when have you seen him really punch down at somebody?
That's fair. Yeah.
He generally punches up.
Yeah.
And it's a lateral punch. Is just, I know him and Garrett Wilson, they didn't get along, but that's like a lateral punch, right? So, but yeah, in terms of you don't hear like he's
and that's
total
football
dick.
That's football frustration more than anything. Like that,
right? And it's not like Belichick, who I have to contractually obligated to bring up, who was treated people like the janitor badly.
Right. I heard that, and I heard stuff about like Randy Moss, who everyone seemed to like and enjoyed being here, but not great to
Well, there was a story in Minnesota, if you remember, of like the barbecue spread where he was like the local barbecue joint brought in a spread on a Friday afternoon. I guess they've been doing it for years with the Vikings, and they bring in the spread, and Moss is like, "What the hell is this?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't like the food, and so he got very vocal about it. I think like even Favre, I do think like one thing with Favre, like, even though there are a lot of parallels between Rodgers and Favre, I do think there are some things that he observed with Favre that he didn't want to repeat. And, I think one is probably how Favre separated himself from the rest of the team. Like, Favre had his own locker room in Green Bay. You guys remember that?
Well, I just watched the documentary on him.
I haven't watched the documentary yet, but was it good?
I'll tell you what we're gonna have to break, and then because there's more to talk about this. Okay. But the documentary is good, and I'll tell you why. It's because it's weird to see the Green Bay media badmouth them and then say, "But we never would have done that while he was here." Like they throw themselves under the bus.
Yeah.
But it's like they're pontificating on like what a dick he was and like how they weren't surprised by anything that happened in New York and all this stuff. But if that would have happened here, no one would have said anything about it.
A lot of the Green Bay Raiders would still defend Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Well, the guys that didn't were saying, yeah, but if he was still here, basically we would have. Yeah. So I found it kind of odd that like here you are in a documentary, like going, well, none of this is a surprise. He did all this while he was in Green Bay, but you are admitting that you never would have said it while he was in Green Bay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a radio guy. Like, why wouldn't the radio guy say something?
So, like in Green Bay, Rodgers' problem was with the general manager and the team president. In New York, his problem wound up being with Woody.
Yes.
But he got along with Christopher.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so, like, it's interesting, but like, almost always, like, you see it's that punching up. And so, like, the media in Green Bay, most of those guys had like personal relationships with Aaron. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, where I don't think you would see them on a documentary 5 years from now
bad mouthing Aaron Rodgers. Right. And it also doesn't look. Favre was a bad guy. I mean, Favre is a bad guy.
Yeah,
is a dumb bad guy. And the kind of the part of the documentary we'll break. We'll get back into Aaron Rodgers, but if as a suggestion to watch it, and you probably already know all this stuff, is that and they parallel it to Aaron Rodgers in a way, but like in Green Bay, you as a good quarterback, you are given such a license to do whatever you want. When you leave Green Bay, that kind of follows you. Now, in Favre's, it's much worse. Like Favre's was Sturgeon thing, but what he did in Mississippi with the welfare money,
it was awful. That's despicable.
It is despicable. But Rodgers is nowhere in that orbit. But just kind of like that. You're a young man. You're 22 years old, 23, 25, 26 years old, and you're allowed to kind of do whatever you want, and there's no repercussions. When you leave that bubble, that's when things start getting out. Belichick. When things start getting out of hand for you. You know,
well, it's like Nick Saban leaving the bubble of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and going to Miami, and what that looked like. And then eventually going back to a place in Tuscaloosa where I can be the king of the castle again. My wife can be the queen of the town, all of that.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like, it's almost like if you read and here I am not following my own advice, but if you read the text that Favre had with the people in Mississippi who were giving him the stolen money, they're like childish. Do you think anyone's going to hear about this? Like, is the media going to hear? Are people going to be mad at me? Like, he's a fool. Like, he's a child. Like, he's an uneducated
Well, it
fool.
shows him, like, to be still a hayseed.
Yes,
Yeah.
like a total hayseed that, like, was wound up into think he was something bigger than he was. All right, very good. Bert's still here. He's hanging out. We'll get to more in depth in the football aspects of Rodgers and everything else. Here are the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Bruins became the final NHL team to hire a new head coach yesterday, bringing in Marco Sturm. Bruins interim head coach Joe Sacco, meanwhile, has been hired as an assistant with the New York Rangers. Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals is tonight in Edmonton. The Oilers lead Florida 1-0. Tyrese Halliburton hit a shot with 0.3 of a second left last night. Indiana stunned Oklahoma City in Game 1 of the NBA Finals, 111-110. Aaron Rodgers finally has a deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's a 1-year contract, and the Red Sox had last night off. Walker Buehler pitches tonight at the stadium against the Yankees. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Dr. Matthew Lowe-Presti and Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, the hair doctor of Hardy, Charlie McAvoy, and Tuukka Rask. Call 1-800-GET-HAIR for your free consultation. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8 o'clock.
Touch.
you said you wanted to hear more music in the morning.
Never had to knock on wood, but I never had it yet.
No, you said you didn't want to hear more music in the morning. Okay. Here's more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Phones now on stage.
Yeah, I saw that. They were on one of the late night shows.
Well, that's, I guess, in the video, too. Their new thing is they wear 70s headphones on stage. All of them.
Oh, why not?
I like everyone in the band but the singer. The singer bugs me. He just bugs me. He closes his eyes. He's too sincere. All right, Bert. So Aaron Rodgers is in the Steelers. The Steelers play the
first month of the season,
the Patriots, right? Yeah, and they played the Jets the first game of the season again. Until they get up 30 in the first. It's going to be quite a scene. It's a very negative crowd.
It's kind of messed up that the league did that to the Jets.
Yeah, I know. They're just going to lose to the Steelers in week 1, and then there you go.
Yeah.
And
Are we sure they're going to lose to the Steelers? Are we positive?
I don't know. I'm of the opinion that the Jets are more talented than people realize.
I think the Jets are going to be in playoff contention come December. I just don't think that they're going to.
The front end of their schedule is really rough.
Yeah.
The league keeps screwing them.
They do.
Like last year was like an all-time hose job.
The league won't admit anything, and I heard the guy from the league say that they kind of screwed the Jets last year.
They hosed them last. I mean, they different countries.
In 2 different countries, and he's like, "Oh well, yeah." At first, they were skeptical, but then they wanted it. Like they wanted it, and so like
that actually could be an advantage for the Vikings.
We've talked about that before, so it's not like absurd, but just his confidence in it just was funny. Like, you're going to get a bye after?
It's almost like this weird swagger. Yeah.
It's a huge swagger. Are you going to get a bye after international games? No. Well, that's not fair. Well, there's going to be a lot of international games. What do you want from us?
Yeah.
We might play in the Middle East. How? I don't know. Seriously, you laugh.
They're going to Australia.
You're laughing.
No, they're going to Australia.
I know, but like, okay. So here's the conversation. You laugh, but it was like this. They're like, we might play in the Middle East. Well, how? I don't know. We'll play maybe in Europe, and then they'll go to the Middle East. Will they get a bye after? Who knows? Maybe not. Like, seriously. Like he was like, I don't know. What's the big deal? His
mandate is now, don't pin us down to anything.
Yes.
Because they got in trouble and they got criticized for the Christmas thing because I think the commissioner came out at some point and said, like, well, we're never going to play on a Tuesday or a Wednesday.
And
then they did.
Yeah.
And then everybody looked at the commissioner and said, like, you're a hypocrite. So now I think that it's sort of a result of that, like, where it's like, just don't pin us down on anything.
That's the thing. I was reading something on Pro Football Talk, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago about how the Players Association is bracing for 4 teams, a separate European division. And I would think previously there's no way that the NFL would ever do that to players. But listening to you guys talk, they might very well do that to players.
Yeah. And, I mean, they've got more leverage over their players than any sport because they're rank and file, and this is a longer conversation. And if we want to do an extra segment, we can. It's fine.
We can. All right, let's do an extra segment. I don't care.
Up to you guys.
Why not? We'll do news at 8:20. Very good.
But I think a huge part of it is the rank and file NFL player. So the rank and file NBA player is the 7th guy on the team, right? 7th, 8th guy on the team. That guy's making like what, $4, $5, $6, $7 million dollars, and he's got a guaranteed contract. He's got a ton of security. What's the middle of the roster guy in the NFL?
Less than that.
Okay, so like that guy's probably got a 2 or 3 year career, is not making life-changing money.
$700,000.
Yeah, and so it's like for that guy, it's what's the nuclear option for players? The nuclear option for players is to sit out an entire year. And that guy can't afford to do that. That guy can't afford to support that because that might be one of 2 years or 3 years that he has something that he's worked his whole life for, right? So I got to get every dollar I can while I still have it. So the owners know, like the players, at the end of the day, they can huff and puff, but they're not going to go nuclear on us, where baseball players can, where basketball players can. And so when it comes to shoving things like this down their throat, that's why it happened. It's easy for them to like say, okay, like, well, we'll give you this concession, this concession, this concession. It's like the concessions in the CBA, it's less workout. Do you think like an owner cares that an off-season program is 10 weeks instead of 15 weeks?
No.
And you mean I get to shut the lights off for another 5 weeks?
I would just caution the NFL to know that there is a point. If you would have asked people 50 years ago, 60 years ago, if baseball was ever going to be considered to be a sport that was falling off, they would have looked at you like you had 5 heads. You start screwing. There is a point where people are going to balk. And with this, whether it be the streaming, you can get away with some of it, but if you start hiding everything like on obscure streaming networks, like which I think they'd be willing to do, there's that. Look, a little streaming is great. And in fact, Bert works for Amazon. Everyone has Amazon, in my opinion. And anyway, it's not difficult. A one-off game once a week on Amazon, that's easy. But you start putting playoff games and hiding things. You start putting games in the Middle East and overseas, and fan bases now my season tickets. I'm going to 6 games instead of 8. Like there's a time where people might go, all right, I've had enough. And that's what you got to worry about. Enjoy your success and realize the limits that you can push.
What was it? Cuban said, swollen pigs
get slaughtered. Yeah. And there is it's just a reality. Things aren't popular forever. People don't go to the movies anymore. If you would have told people 30 years ago, 10 years ago, people aren't going to go to the movies anymore. They would have gone, what are you talking about? No, well, you know what? People do other stuff now. So what are you going to do? All right, Bert's going to stick around, thankfully, for one more break, and we'll be right back.
Tonight. After 5 months of waiting, the Pittsburgh Steelers have finally agreed to terms on a one-year contract with free agent quarterback Aaron Rodgers. And the Red Sox have avoided the Yankees all season, but now they have to play 3 straight games at the stadium starting tonight. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by 128 Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric, the company that finishes every job strong. If your home or business has a plumbing, HVAC, electrical, or drain issue that can't wait, you need to call 128 now at 888-CALL-128. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
If you've got the app, you've got Toucher and Hardy to wake you up no matter where you are.
Or who may or may not have been to jail.
Get the app, the 98.5 The Sports Hub app. Half Toucher.
Dressed like a gorilla.
Half Hardy.
A big, beautiful ball of flame.
And a whole lot of Boston sports.
And I have had many offers to become an insider.
Thing to do.
Well, geniuses have said it. Now, does that make me a genius? I guess I would say so. Some people would say, maybe everyone would say it. You know, if maybe, I don't know, I don't talk to everyone, but one can only guess if some are saying that maybe everyone, or perhaps all, or maybe certainly everyone.
But you do talk to the smartest people, and they have told you this.
Well, the very smartest people, and they talk to people maybe even smarter than that. So I have a thing on my name, which I suggest you do. If you don't, it's in all seriousness, I would. It doesn't come off very often. And 99 times out of 100, it's just something from 98.5thesportshub.com. But it's not bad. If you get a Google alert on your name, it's not because someone tweeted it.
Yeah.
It's because it's in an article.
Yeah.
And Barrett Media, whatever, but whatever. People read it in the industry, but that's not the issue. Dan Lebitard apparently was talking about it yesterday on the Dan Lebitard show with Stugatz.
So from yesterday's show, okay.
The flagship program from Meadowlark Media.
Ryan, you got it? He's got it. All right.
If anything, this should tell you that I'm not obsessed with myself. In all seriousness, because I had, until a moment ago, no idea that Dan Lebitard had talked about how we were a part of this. And it mentions everyone. It doesn't just mention me.
I'm interested to hear it.
It's not a Fred Toucher-focused article.
Go Google alert.
It is the show. It is not certainly me. Now, I'm the one who called Bill Simmons. I said that he was acting like a pussy in the interview, and that gets headlines, baby. Because then it becomes I called him a pussy, which I kind of did. So there you go.
Announcing all over that.
I think Bill Simmons is a little bit of a pussy. He gets all sensitive about things. Jesus Christ, I did too. I got very sensitive about things. Not so much anymore. Not now that I've turned 50. You know, you get great. Some would say the greatest perspective on things. You know, almost a historical perspective in some ways. All right, Bert. All right, so let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. We've been all over it, but Aaron Rodgers is coming to New England. He's an AFC team that squeaked into the playoffs, an AFC team that hasn't won a playoff game in forever. All right, I watched every pass he threw last year, every snap he took.
And you think he's done?
He can't move. And so what's the state of the Pittsburgh offensive line?
I think that's an underrated piece of this, and that I think their line has a chance to be really good because they've drafted well at those positions the last few years.
That will certainly help.
And they have, so Broderick Jones will be their left tackle, who was a first-round pick. Troy Fatano will be their right tackle.
But Broderick Jones, he's good now because he was disappointing for a while.
He played right tackle. They're flipping him over to left tackle. They lost Dan Moore to Tennessee. Troy Fatano was their first-round pick a year ago. He got hurt and missed his whole rookie year. But he was considered coming out of Washington like a very, you're not going to get this wrong sort of thing. Just a very safe pick, right? So you got the two tackles with young guys who are ascending. You have maybe the best young center in football, who was awesome as a rookie last year, this guy, Zach Frazier. You got a guard who was a rookie last year in McCormick, and then Samalu, who came over from Philadelphia. So, their offensive line has a chance to be a real strength. I think the easiest way to explain this is to kind of juxtapose it against bringing back Russell Wilson, which was never happening for a variety of reasons, or trading for Kirk Cousins, or signing Daniel Jones. To me, this is not a team that needed to hit a single or a double at quarterback. They've got a very short window with the players they have. Like we talked about, Watt's going to be 31. Fitzpatrick's going to be 29. Hayward's at the end of his career. DK Metcalf is on his third contract now. Now he's not old, but he's been a little beat up. So I think you're dealing with sort of with the core players you have, a short window. So what makes more sense? Swing for a single or double? Or load up and just swing for the fences, and if you miss, you miss.
It could go horribly wrong.
But it could go really, really right also.
What's your opinion?
I think Aaron is going to come in.
They said this last year.
I think I know. I think this has a chance to be like Favre in Minnesota.
No kidding.
In 09.
And that's the one piece is that it was the Jets, and I'm not just saying that.
But that was
like
a weird. But that was like, it was that was a veteran Vikings team that had a lot right around the quarterback, that had an established program, and the thing that gives me some pause is the division that they're in.
Right.
Because I think Cincinnati's going to be a lot better.
They should be.
And Baltimore's Baltimore. But
who has Favre came into a pretty good offense last year.
Favre
not Favre. I mean Rodgers came into a pretty good offense last year
with the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, on paper,
I would agree with that. You still had the offensive line issue though,
right?
Didn't look at that game and just disregard the opponent. I know that's hard to do, but you watched that game and it looked like Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the hope. Now, and again, I don't think that there's any sense. I get Pittsburgh's logic here, and that Pittsburgh's logic is it doesn't make any sense for us to swing. Like Daniel Jones, what's that going to do for you? You're sort of spinning your wheels. You know what I mean? And there's no easy answer to the question. Like you could have gotten Stafford, but Stafford was never leaving L.A. Like what other answer was there out there? Like if you feel like you've only got a year or two left with Watt at the height of his powers, with Fitzpatrick at the height of his powers, with all these different elements, the way they're constructed right now, and it's not like you have an answer. Just swing for the fences and see what happens.
Yeah, but if you recall when Rodgers got hurt,
yeah,
it took 3 snaps, the 2 dropbacks, he just took sacks, and it's and I remember thinking when he took the first sack, why aren't you moving? Like you almost seem obstinate. Like you're almost refusing to move. Yeah. And then last year, if you watch the first Patriot game, he's running in quotations, but he's moving around.
He looked really good.
He looked awesome that first Patriot game.
Yeah. You have to watch the NFL and how it's played now, because if you watched every Jet game last year, it was like you were watching 2 different sports. On one side of the ball, you had guys extending plays and just forget running north-south. Just running laterally. Extend in the NFL, how long do you have, Bert, to throw the ball? Really? Generally.
3 seconds, 2 seconds.
2 seconds. So 1, 2, right? 1, 2. So when you were watching games with Drake May, with anyone else, watch a Bills-Jets game from last year and watch what Josh Allen could do. Forget north and south. Just get the ball. Here comes someone. I might get hit, but I'm going to run to at least get rid of the ball. At least get rid of the ball. Take a neutral play.
Look,
it's something else to watch Aaron Rodgers last year.
Well, for those first 2 plays, what he's doing is he's setting them up. He's letting them get to him on those first couple of plays, and when they come the third time, he was getting ready to strike, but instead it ended his season.
Yeah, right. And what about the not running the offense part? What about going in there and standing with his brilliance, and I don't doubt he's a brilliant football player, but you have a limited amount of time. It got to the point where he was taking numerous delay of game penalties for no reason. He was just standing there, being a genius. And in the Jets, Bert, you know this, on the field stuff, whatever.
Do you know what the Steelers are coming from, though?
What's that?
What they had last year?
Yeah. Russell Wilson threw the teardrop, which was nice. He did throw a great deep ball. And I know Russell Wilson didn't run plays that they wanted to run, and that was a problem. Russell Wilson's not good. But Aaron Rodgers, like what was pissing Garrett Wilson off, apparently, and Breece Hall off is he was checking out of everything for no reason. Like they were like, why aren't we running?
Well, he didn't try, and he had that Brady thing where it's like hard to build trust with him, and once you're out, you're sort of out. Like that's where
But they gave him Lazard and they gave him Devontae Adams, and then he just fed Devontae Adams. But they weren't winning with those two.
Right.
I mean, they couldn't have done more for him. They did everything he wanted.
It's
they
like,
brought in his
it's like
offensive coordinator. They did
overvaluing.
everything.
It's what you're talking about, which can happen with older quarterbacks. It's this overvaluing. I know what that guy's going to do. I know where that guy's going to be, so I'm going to throw to that guy versus working with the younger guy.
But at least Brady would accept someone else. I mean, look, Garrett Wilson might be one of the top 5 receivers in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, you're ignoring this guy? Breece Hall's not a bad running back. Worst case scenario, he's
a good player.
He's a top 10, top 15 running back. So let's just say he's a good NFL running back. Maybe not the best, but good. You're not giving him the ball? Like, he wouldn't give him the ball. Like, he would check out of running plays when...
And so that's...
I guess the Jets would be like, why are you even doing that? There's nothing defensively that tells you should be doing it. You're just kind of doing it on a whim.
And that's something you're going to have to work with the offensive coordinator, who I think, like, Arthur Smith is a pretty smart guy and has built offenses for different types of quarterbacks and resurrected Ryan Tannehill's career. And, like...
That concerns me, though.
Made chicken salad, so to
speak,
speak,
concerns
with
me,
Russell
though,
Wilson.
Because he's good. He's a very good offensive coordinator with head coaching experience, and you're bringing Rodgers in, and he's not going to do what he says. There's nothing that leads me to believe that they could be on the same page Sunday morning.
Well, I think Aaron is going to respect Arthur because Arthur is really bright.
But he brought in his own offensive coordinator and didn't respect him. He brought in Hackett and didn't respect him.
He did respect him, but then they demoted him, and that was kind of a point of contention.
They demoted him, Bert, because they weren't winning games, and they weren't producing offensively. Well, their defense sucked,
I think what
too.
people there would tell you, and people who went through that last year would tell you, is that all the panicky stuff that happened via the owner was sort of created the issue for Aaron. It wasn't like Aaron's problem. Aaron's problems or inconsistency in Aaron's play was creating these issues that the owner had to address. It was the owner was overreacting and creating issues and made like what were small problems bigger problems.
But they weren't winning when he made those moves.
I mean, he fired Saleh at what, 2-3?
Yeah, but it's not like. But you have to remember how they won the Tennessee game. Is Will Levis gave him the ball. He just said, "Here." They should have lost to Tennessee. Bert, the only game they won out of those for real was the Pats game.
Yeah.
And that's the one everyone here saw.
Right.
I assure you he was bad.
I would just say, like we said, we acknowledge.
Woody Johnson screwed up. But Aaron Rodgers let that happen.
No, he wasn't good. And, like, that's the thing. Is like I think what you're counting on is you're putting him in a more stable environment. And there's no question about the chain of command in Pittsburgh. There will never be. Mike Tomlin's not getting fired after a month if this doesn't look good after a month, right?
Right.
So you're giving stability. You're giving him stability that he did not have in New York, and you are getting him now a year or 2 years separated from the Achilles injury, which. With an older player, again, there are people that think that that's going to make a difference. I mean, you guys have talked about Jason Tatum till you're blue in the face, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, why wouldn't? Let me ask you this: like when we constantly talk about football players like coming back. I mean, Cam Akers, do you guys remember that? He came back from an Achilles in 4.5 months.
Right.
You realize that?
It's 82 games of back and forth and consistently cutting on it.
I get it. But
more running.
if you, I think I heard you on the radio earlier this week, Fred, say if you were the owner of the team, you would tell them, do not put him back out there.
I don't doubt that Aaron Rodgers was hindered by his Achilles, but I just gave you examples of his problems being far more than his lack of mobility. And there's no way, Bert, that he's going to come in and be mobile. And by the way, when he gets hit, he gets hurt. And now, to his credit, he plays through those injuries.
Which is how it happens with older players, which they can't move, they can't protect themselves, then they start getting hurt.
I can assure you this. He's not going to come out and play 17 games fleet of foot.
Okay.
He's going to get hit a ton. There's no way he won't.
I'll acknowledge to you, one, that he's not what he was 5 or 6 years ago. I'll acknowledge to you, two, that if things go poorly, if they start 1-4, that you could have bigger problems. Certainly could exist. He's got a voice. He's got a platform. Like he's got platforms that he can like make things a mess for you if he wants to, right? I would acknowledge that like it's been a few years since he looked like MVP Aaron Rodgers. I'd also say this is still the best option for the Steelers because
I don't doubt it.
With that core of players, and this is the price. We've talked here about like the Patriots chased the Mac Jones mistake for 3 years.
I wouldn't have drafted a quarterback.
They chased, and this to me is again, it's like with Indianapolis now. This is them.
I'm just asking how good they're going to be.
This is chasing the Kenny Pickett mistake.
I understand. I'm just asking. I never said they should have drafted a quarterback this year. I think you should have sat out the draft like they did. I wouldn't have drafted a quarterback.
Were they? I'd have to look this up. I'm not asking rhetorically. I think they were 10-2 last year or something before the collapse.
I don't know.
Something like that.
Yeah.
9-2.
The thing is, but all I'm asking is how good they're going to be. Was Fields bad?
Fields was fine.
Fields was fine.
Yeah. Fields was fine. Russell for a time was fine. They had to manage it though.
Yeah.
And like if Aaron's out there, if he's at his best, for his age, then I think you can I just think that this is, to me, like this is a weird situation to be in because this should be like when Kenny Pickett is going on to his second contract and like if you hit on that quarterback in the first round, which you never should have taken a quarterback in the first round out of that draft class. But like this is when like he's good enough to get TJ Watt a ring.
Okay.
Right?
10-3.
Right, they were 10-3. So
we're not going to get TJ Watt a ring. All right, look, it should be interesting. Aaron Rodgers in the NFL makes things much more interesting. All right, Bert. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for staying longer.
You got it.
And we will talk to you next week. We will be back. It is true. This show is part of the zeitgeist. It's the straw that's stirring the drink. Well, Pablo Torre is, and we're just some say everyone is, and the Pablo Torre is stirring it, but we're just part of we're in the shake machine. All right, all right. So we'll be back with that in just a moment.
More.
Toucher and Hardy.
Well, you're going to have to spend $40.
Cough it up, and let's get back to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
All right, you're hearing girls like status. There is no new Belichick information. I'm heard that not all of this is positive, which I do not like whatsoever. I was thinking this was going to be positive, and if it's not overly positive, I am going to go crazy.
Cool.
I'm going to lose it.
Let's play it. Let's go.
By the way, the Boston Globe is doing a big feature on this show. It will be in the Sunday paper.
No, actually, it will be in the Monday paper.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I thought it was going to be in the Sunday Globe.
What I heard is it's going to hit the because they're doing a whole multimedia thing. It's going to be on the Globe's website, globe.com, on Monday, and then it will be in the Tuesday newspaper.
Oh, I thought it was going to be in the Sunday Globe.
What was the hurry? Jeez.
How did you find all this out?
Chad, let me know.
Oh.
Oh,
did I not put that in the group text yesterday? I apologize.
No,
I thought I had.
No, you had not.
No.
Clearly.
You had not.
Clearly.
I
you
told
wouldn't
my
have been
mom
so
it's going to be
wrong
the
right
Sunday Globe. She's going to be in town. She's going to go out and get a newspaper. Ma, you read a Sunday Globe.
So it doesn't come out till Tuesday? How long does it take to make the art? Why Tuesday?
Well, it's probably done, but they...
Yeah, they didn't want to waste it in the Sunday. They didn't want to. They didn't want to waste the Sunday paper. Like they thought it was garbage. Garbage.
What do I look like? A newspaper guy? You
worked there. You worked there. You worked there.
I was on the radio station.
I thought we were popular. What's the strategy?
Tuesday?
Tuesday?
Who's in the newspaper on a Tuesday?
I said Monday. Tuesday? You calling me a liar?
I thought it was.
I thought it was good. I thought because he wrote it yesterday, right?
Apparently, yeah.
That's what he told all of us.
And they're sitting on it?
Yeah.
There's nothing going on. Put that
You're
in
not
the
even
Sunday
going to be
paper.
on the air on Tuesday when it comes out.
I'm not going to be in Boston on Tuesday. I'm going to be in Detroit.
You wouldn't have been here on Monday either. You're not doing the show.
I am doing the show on Monday.
No, you're not. You guys are down golfing on Monday.
Whatever. I'm in Boston.
Yeah.
I would be in the city and be able to buy the paper. I'm not going to even be able to buy the paper now.
I'll pick up a copy for you. Don't worry.
Oh, sweet.
Shut up. Tuesday for real?
Tuesday.
And you didn't let anyone know.
I thought I had. I had it. I had it. Was going to send it to you guys yesterday. I didn't.
Jeez.
That kind of is disappointing. I thought it was coming out this Sunday. I thought this was the last show until the article came out, and then it was going to come out in the Sunday Globe, which everyone buys. The Sunday paper is what people they sit down with. I don't even know where you get a Tuesday Globe. I know where you get the Sunday Globe. It's everywhere. The Tuesday Globe, the print edition, is a little bit harder to find because just people don't buy tactile
They got
things.
it at your CVS. Don't worry about it.
Most people that sell the Sunday Globe are selling the Daily Globes.
Okay, because the Sunday Globe is like a thing. Like you pick up the Sunday Globe. Like it's still like a little miracle, right? Like weekly they put out this huge thing, this tactile thing every Sunday that carries a gravitas that the Tuesday paper doesn't hold anymore. Yeah, you go on a Sunday and you pick up the Globe. It's like it would take you a week to read the whole thing. Well, that's not good news. Now, and this Torre thing is not going to be as positive as I thought, and now it's just a bunch of disappointments at my feet.
Gout in your knee? Ugh.
Well, at least I recognized it was gout, and I was able to
Bumps
take the
on your
proper
belly?
medicines. Get out of here. Shut up. You're like Bert with the crosstalk. All right, so here we are. So Pablo Torre is a hero, and I don't know how my worship of Pablo Torre's reporting could be interpreted by his boss as anything negative, but we'll see. The Dan Le Batard show, obviously Bill Simmons had called out Pablo Torre, and I had commented that wasn't, I didn't like that Bill Simmons wasn't speaking for the people of Boston, in my opinion. And then he had Pablo Torre on, and I thought Bill Simmons was kind of a pussy because he had attacked him, and then when he had him on the show, they were all nice right away. And now Pablo Torre did win that interview. And I like The Ringer, by the way. And I like their writers, like Alan Siegel, very, very much. But here we go. Here's the Dan Le Batard show with Stugatz from Meadowlark Media, who employ Pablo Torre, speaking on this show.
If I tell you the Sports Hub in Boston was talking about this feud between Pablo Torre finds out and Bill Belichick and Bill Simmons. Can you tell me where you think the Sports Hub in Boston would side in this particular feud?
I think they'll side with Pablo over Bill Simmons. I'm not certain the guys at the Sports Hub really like Bill Simmons that much. I don't know.
Simmons is a Boston icon, is he not?
No. But the thing is, and I don't dislike Bill Simmons at all. That's not true. I don't dislike him. You can say someone was a pussy in an interview and not dislike him. Bill Simmons has built a media empire. Already unfair. Fake news so far. We'll see how in the gutter they get with this stuff. He better watch himself, or I'll call him names. You watch out.
He's Bill Simmons is the Sports Hub. I would assume that the Sports Hub would be a place where you would find a haven for Bill Simmons. But I was a bit shocked when I heard the commentary on the Sports Hub.
I get it. You're so much better than this, but you're doing a podcast on a movie from 1978.
Well,
that's what everyone's got time for. You know what? What the hell is he talking about? During a podcast referring to a movie that no one's seen for 40 years, you've got the audacity that a movie that came out when I was 3, that's not The Godfather or something, that you're, during that exercise, you're talking about Pablo Torre is wasting everyone's time with the Belichick story? You're literally doing something, the most frivolous thing that you could ever do. So Pablo Torre is the 50 Cent of journalism. Pablo, anything you need from me, baby, you reach out. We're all here for you. We got your back. Pablo Torre, the greatest sports journalist in the world.
That's just shocking to hear.
Like a turn at the end.
The 50 Cent
in the world.
What does he mean by?
Well, the 50 Cent thing is in context, which they won't understand because they're unsophisticated. Remember, Pat McAfee called out Timothy Chalamet. He called out Ben Stiller and called out Spike Lee, but ignored 50 Cent. Mm-hmm. And 50 Cent, of course, has been on top of this Diddy thing for years, which is another thing. But they're two probably not in tune like we are with that. So whatever they say doesn't matter.
That's just shocking to hear.
Like a turn at the end.
The 50 Cent
in the world.
What does he mean by that?
He said no one wants to beef with him. No one, you can't beef with him. You shouldn't beef with him. He's gonna open up his briefcase and he's gonna say, "I happen to have a few questions for you," and then you're just gonna melt in his journalistic breath.
Anything you need from me, baby.
Billy, why are you shaking your head?
I don't know what I just heard. It's an odd turn there.
Gay stuff, if you want it.
Right.
I mean, it couldn't be any more obvious.
Mostly mouth stuff, but
no, that's your words, not mine.
You're saying anything.
Oh, you have at me. What the hell are they doing? That's very homophobic. I thought they were more progressive than that. Well, I guess we all can't be us.
Billy, why are you shaking your head?
I don't know what I just heard. It's an odd turn there.
For it to end with he's the 50 Cent of journalism, which means no one wishes to beef with him. He has escalated to that point very quickly.
So Pablo Torre is the 50 Cent of journalism.
Boston's also out on Belichick, though, right? Like, that didn't end great. Like, they're looking for things to make Belichick look bad.
Well, that's what one of the things they did in sideswiping Simmons is they kept saying, if you were still from here, you'd know how people.
He's Hollywood now.
I mean, if you know how people here feel about Belichick and that story.
Mike, I hate it as well. It doesn't matter that Bill moved across the country to L.A., to the place that Boston hates the most.
Yes, it does.
Now, again, in context, it does. What the point we're making is that it seems that Bill Belichick was kind of, or Bill Belichick, that Bill Simmons was kind of carrying the water for Belichick in like this hometowny Boston way,
right?
Which is just not how the people of Boston feel.
Right. You feel like you have to plant the flag when you're somewhere else and hold up your hometown, and we've seen it happen with other people too.
I prefaced it, and if you read the Barrett Media article, which I don't think they did, well, it came out after they talked, so it was about this conversation, so I guess they couldn't. I prefaced it by saying I do the same thing with Detroit. I am from Detroit. I haven't lived there since I was 18. I've lived here for 20 years. I've lived here longer than I lived in Detroit. But I still, you're in a suspended state from when you moved, right? And I said the point, there's nothing more annoying than a Red Sox fan at like a Atlanta Braves game in June at Turner Field or whatever it's called now. because they're screaming and yelling like it's the 7th game of the World Series.
But I think you and I are also self-aware enough to know that we don't necessarily think like Detroit fans in Detroit think.
That's what I just said.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
I've never made any. I'm not from here. Bill Simmons speaks for Boston as a kid that grew up here. He's a Boston. He worships the teams. I don't care about any of them except the Bruins. So he wins there. Fake news. Do you see how they manipulate things?
I do.
Do you
Dan
see-
Lebitard, who is, lived his entire life in Miami, is making judgments on how we're judging Boston.
Well, you're from here, John. If anyone
Yes.
should be offended, it's you.
I think I just was and just explained myself.
I think that it's fair to say that Hardy and I have never, ever, ever in our entire careers here ever claimed any kind of ownership of Boston or that we are indicative of the feelings of Boston. I just know that when we just talk about the way we feel, and in this case, more than any other time in my career, I feel that everyone's on our team. I've never gotten response like in agreement like we are right now from people.
That's a Fred Durst word, agreeance.
Yeah, everyone's in agreement with us. You see?
Got it.
I wish I spoke better because I have good thoughts. They're just hard to put into words.
Just a roadblock.
If you knew what was going on in my head, you'd be much more on my side.
Tough break for a man with your job.
Well, I'm 50. I don't have to do it much longer.
It's a bad beat.
Just get the kids out of college and we'll be fine.
Story. Mike, I hate it as well. It doesn't matter that Bill moved across the country to L.A., to the place that Boston hates the most. He can still cover Boston.
Huh? Boston hates L.A.?
That's a 1980s reference when the Celtics and Lakers were playing each other.
I can honestly say, I swear to God, that I had no idea that Boston hated L.A.
We don't. Here's something that you probably already knew. We don't.
See,
we don't hate L.A.
What they're doing is they're saying, like, I'm now doing what I'm accusing of Bill Simmons of doing, which is like I'm like going, you're not from here anymore,
but
which is not it at all.
But Stugatz went to college up here during the 80s, so he's probably still stuck there.
He's that
in
old.
Boston, not in L.A.
I think
It's hardcore, baby.
I think it's okay to maybe question somebody's whether or not they truly have their finger on the pulse if they're writing about Boston, covering Boston, and they've lived in Los Angeles for 22 years. I think that's a fair question to ask. Is Bill Simmons really the best guy to be talking about the mood of Boston when he hasn't lived here in over 2 decades?
I guess what hurts my feelings is that they're accusing us of something that I've tried so hard not to be, which is inauthentic and like as if I'm representing this city. And that is a little hurtful that they don't know more about our careers.
They haven't heard of us.
It is
haven't followed
disappointing.
the show.
It is disappointing that they're so unaware. It really lets me know where I stand in the world of media.
We're not as good.
First
as the
of all, I
National
hear
guys.
I'm not good enough for the Sunday Globe. That
I
I know I'm
know.
in the Tuesday Globe, and now
Now the national guys aren't paying attention.
well, they're paying attention, but they don't know the backstory.
Ryan Beaton says, "Wait till you hear the rest of the clip."
Oh,
Well, how much is left?
30 seconds.
Oh, we can do it now. Go.
Sports in 2025 and do it very well, but that's where I knew those guys would go.
Anything you need from me, baby.
That was the part.
That feels a little bit like
insincere.
That's the most Hollywood thing that I've heard.
Anything you need from me, baby.
They're criticizing the Hollywood bona fides of Bill Simmons while sounding like a producer.
This is really a spectacularly insincere overreach.
Well, I was joking when I said anything you need from me, baby. It's called a joke. But, and he works for you. I don't understand this upsetness.
And again, if they knew the show better, they knew the history, they would know that you're a hep cat and you say things like that and you are sincere when you say them.
Yeah, they would know I'm a wheeler dealer.
Right.
Well, anyway,
Call
I was
people
expecting
baby.
that to be much more positive than it was, but
It wasn't negative enough really to get me going either.
no, it was just kind of there.
Yeah.
Ryan, why didn't you pull better audio? I blame you. All right. Well, that was disappointing. But this Globe thing's really disappointing. I was really looking forward to being in the Sunday Globe. It's a big deal to me. I like that the Globe matters to me. Like, you can make fun of it, but I think that it's cool that there's a feature about the show.
What is so important to push us off of Sunday?
I'm not joking. Like, it is kind of disappointing.
I wasn't either. I'm curious.
But it is a compliment to the Globe
Like, to me, it's a big deal. Like, and you can make fun of me for it. I don't care. I'm being vulnerable and sincere. Like, I think that the success of this show warranting a feature in the Globe is a great compliment. And I just, more because it's not coming out sooner, I was looking forward for my own reasons, not for anything else, just for my own reasons, my own selfish reasons, not for the way anyone
I have
was
the
going to
same
react
take
to
as
it.
you. I think the Globe is important. I thought it was going to be a big deal to have us in the Sunday Globe, and I'm disappointed that it's not going to be in there, but I am looking
I'm not
forward to
mad
seeing it.
about it. I'm just a little disappointed. All right, very good. Here are the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub headline.
Listen to Touch Your Hardy.
Because it's a thing.
All right.
You know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
No idea what you're talking about.
Here's more of The Thing on the Sports Hub.
But it's another slight.
Yes.
They're stacking up.
They are.
Boy, we're going in the weekend on a real downer. I was telling you guys that this weekend I've agreed to stay at my ex-wife's house because she was called out of town for a family thing. And so I have, if I can't have my old dog, her dog, in my house because the dog. Now, I want someone to know if this makes sense. The dog loves me very much. Whenever I go over there, she spazzes out. She puts her head on me. She lays all over me. So this is not an issue of her not liking me. But when she's in my home, she gets all weirded out. And my theory is that it's because me and my kids sense her all over everything, and it confuses her. That's the only thing I can figure out. Mm-hmm. Perhaps someone in that industry, the dog industry, could say something on that part. But then I figure that I can take my dog to her house, and therefore all the mess is in her house. Now the two dogs are living in that house that I don't have to clean, and that takes the responsibility off of my house. Because you can't really have a dog just let a dog out periodically through the day. You got to be living in the house that the dog is. It's not like a cat. Cats very independent, self-sufficient. They really just need food, a little attention, and they're on their way. A dog, you have to actually be in the house with them, you know? So that's what I got going on.
Yeah, they like the companionship generally more than the location.
Yeah.
And cats, I think, on the whole, are different. Cats are more about, this is my spot, this is my place. You can come and go, but this is where I live.
Yeah, my cat pretty much just spends its time in my bedroom, and then if I'm in the bedroom, it's like, great, this is exciting, and when I leave the bedroom, she's like, see ya.
Yeah.
She's like, maybe once every 6 months I'll take a dump in the shower for some unknown reason. Something has upset me, and I will illustrate the point by taking a dump. And then you'll rack your brain and talk to your kids and your friends about what I possibly could have done to annoy the cat this much. And no one will come to any conclusions because nothing has really been done. The cat just goes, I'm going to take a dump in the shower today because, you rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't like your shorts. It's too cold for shorts. Every cat is Scarface, you understand? So Scott Zolik says cats are effing useless. Well, I don't think we're on the same page there. Blind Scott has something to say about us being in the Globe, which is a nice thing. And I just thought it was coming out on Sunday. That's why I said something. He says, congratulations being in the Globe, Boston Globe, you liberal bastard.
Oh, okay.
Which, again, is another slight, so rack that up. And maybe the meanest of all.
Man.
Coming from Blind Scott, who wanted my phone number. He suggested that I give him his phone number so he could stop all the emailing and just text. And he promised only to text between 6 and 10.
Oh, good. So
and then he extended it a little bit. Maybe he would do it a little bit longer.
So that would limit it to only 40.
And then there was an idea that we were going to get me a burner phone, and then the burner phone would just be going off every time Blind Scott contacted me. But then I came to the conclusion that maybe I don't even want the false intimacy that would come with giving him a burner phone number. I think that just is another brick in a wall for Blind Scott. Yeah. It lends itself to almost like he'll think he had my number, which is enough maybe to cross a barrier that we don't want crossed, or at least I don't want crossed.
I'm just sifting through the hundreds of Scott emails right now, and apparently Robbie Roadsteamer called into the Ben Maller show.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I saw it. I got the gist of it, kind of. I don't really know what happened.
The nice thing is you don't have to open any of them because everything is in the subject line.
Yeah.
He learned from someone that's what you do. That's what he learned.
So you just gotta... It's almost like reading tweets. You just scroll. You never have to click on anything.
Exactly.
Good point.
You get the gist of it. Now, would Robbie call into Ben Mahler?
It doesn't seem like a very Robbie thing to do. I don't know.
Yeah, I just thought he had made it up in his head. I don't doubt that Scott believes it. Blind Scott believes it, but I just don't. I'm not sure it happened. You know?
Yeah.
Do you
I
understand what
don't
I'm
doubt
saying?
you believe it.
Oh yeah, I don't think Blind Scott's lying in quotations.
Yeah.
I think that he heard that, but I don't know if it happened. You know what I'm saying? I think in Blind Scott's mind that maybe, yeah, they had a lovely conversation. I'm not positive that anyone else heard it. You know, including the two people having it. And I swear to God, that's my opinion on that. That's why I never brought it to anyone's attention. I saw that too, and I just kind of went,
Yeah.
Look, I don't know if that's worth I don't know if that's worth Ryan's time. The perceived conversation on the Ben Mahler show.
Yeah.
Now it might have happened, but I don't have not a good enough chance that I want to waste Ryan's time with it. All right, look. The Bruins have a new coach. It's not that exciting when a hockey team gets a new coach because none of us know anything about hockey coaching as we do about football and baseball and basketball, which we're total experts. But hockey especially seems a little bit out of our depth. That's why you go to Bob Beers. Bob Beers will join us with his thoughts in just a moment.
Energy drinks.
Red Sox had last night off. They pitch Walker Buehler tonight at the stadium against the first-place Yankees. It is the first time these two teams have met all season. Tyrese Halliburton hit a pull-up jumper with 0.3 seconds left, and Indiana stunned Oklahoma City in Game 1 of the NBA Finals, 111-110. Pacers turned the ball over 24 times, and league MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 38 points for the Thunder, but it wasn't enough. Game 2 is on Sunday night. Now that the Bruins have hired Marco Sturm to replace interim head coach Joe Sacco, he's got a new job. He'll join new head coach Mike Sullivan as an assistant coach with the New York Rangers. Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals is tonight in Edmonton. The Oilers lead Florida 1-0, and Aaron Rodgers finally has a deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He has reportedly agreed to a 1-year contract. He is expected on the field for mandatory minicamp on Tuesday. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the Colossal Lobster Rolls at the 99. 100% North Atlantic lobster piled high on grilled brioche, served hot, buttered, or with just the right amount of mayo and celery. You gotta love the nines. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9:30.
Start your day.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Work through your day.
What's that thing we do at the end of the show?
And end your day.
I'm not giving you an opinion. I don't know.
Right here. 98.5 The Sports Hub. Toucher and Hardy.
Such an fantastic explosion.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Bergeron left side on the flyer end. Walks into the left circle. Pulls up. He's in the front tip. Score! Marco Sturm on the doorstep. And the Bruins win the Winter Classic in overtime 2-1.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. Yesterday we had Sarah Sivian on, who's covering the NHL Finals. And while she was on the air right around this time, John broke in with breaking news. Marco Sturm is the new coach of your Boston Bruins. And the thing about that is, obviously I lived in town when Marco Sturm was on the team for part of that term, but I think I speak for all of us when none of us have any idea what makes a good hockey coach. Sometimes you know people who are assistant football or basketball coaches, baseball managers. Probably a lot of them are ex-players that you're more familiar with. That's why you have to turn to the experts. Bob Beers is kind enough to join us this morning. He's the Bruins color analyst on the 98.5 The Sports Hub Bruins radio network. A tremendous job this year with Ryan Johnson, who we were very happy for. Bob, hello.
Good morning, guys. How we doing?
Good. How is the tan? We know you're always very tan.
Kind of tough with the weather the way it's been, but I'm managing.
Okay.
I'm managing.
Are you playing in the golf tournament on Monday?
Yeah, I will see you there, I hope.
Yes.
Excellent.
Bob is a very good golfer.
Very good golfer.
He's always on one of these teams.
That's a myth.
No,
it's not.
You're always on one of these teams that is winning.
That's not fair.
Like he's on one of these teams that you come into the clubhouse and they're like,
18 under.
Yeah, guy finished 20 under, and you're like, huh?
Bob Beers, how about that again?
Yeah, Beers eagled 3 holes. It was the whole thing. You should have been there.
I'm playing with Maz this year, so I don't know. And some guy named Judd Surratt. I don't know how that's going to go.
Oh boy,
yeah,
worst.
Yeah, that doesn't.
Traitor.
Yeah. There was they gave me an opportunity to pick a guy to play with this year because John and I are playing with friends of ours, and I have a guy that is a XD1 golfer plus handicap in the golf business, but I didn't invite him because I knew he would want to win. And I don't need that. I don't need wanting to win.
Don't need that pressure on 14. Fred.
I
You got to make this 30-foot double breaker for par.
No, we'd play his shot every time, and he drives it 330 yards. Like I'm not kidding. Like the guy's really good.
So you're telling me you invited a slug? Like how's that guy feel right now?
Hopefully, like he should.
Anybody who shows up on Fred's team says, okay, well, how are we going to win this thing? Fred says, get the hell out of here. Get back to your car and leave.
You're not wrong. You're not. If the guy I invited starts talking about winning and like gets all competitive, I'm going to be like, all right, slow down. This is a station event.
Yeah, why don't you settle in? We're here for 6 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously.
Fred
Get used to the cart, buddy.
Fred and I played on the same team last year, and I think Fred was a little put off when on the first green I started to read a putt. He's like, what are you doing?
No.
No.
I try. I'm just not in the business of winning the thing. Let's not get. I don't need expectations. All right. All right. So here we are. Marco Sturm is the new coach of your Boston Bruins, a guy you probably know pretty well. What was your take on that when you heard it?
I mean, it was rumored for a while that he was going to be the guy. So, it finally happened. I'm not sure what the holdup was, but regardless, he's paid his dues. He's had success at the international level, at the American Hockey League level, assistant coach in the NHL. So his first chance as a head coach in the NHL. And, you got to go through the process a lot of times. And I'm anxious to see what he can do. But let's be honest. The team that finished the season last year can't be the team that starts the year next year, because it doesn't matter what coach you have back there. It's just that team was not good. You're missing some key players. You had players that underperformed last season, and you get guys back from injury. McAvoy, Lindholm on the back end. You get a better goaltending performance from Swayman, and you start to build on that. But there needs to be some changes lineup wise. And it doesn't matter who the coach is going to be if that's the lineup you're going to put out there.
All right. So how well do you know him? Like, are you friends with him?
No.
Okay.
He was a player here while I was doing the games, and he was a good player. He was low maintenance. He was quiet. He did his job. He did it well, actually. He'll always be linked to the Joe Thornton trade, but he was the best thing that came from that trade. You can criticize the trade all you want, but he played well for the Bruins. He scored some big goals. The one clip he just played before we went on. For the Winter Classic. But he scored some big goals along the way and was a good player. And, I think, does that translate to a good coach? Not necessarily, but that's something that still remains to be seen.
Okay, so the Bruins are not alone in this, but they do seem to like to go with a hire that they're familiar with, somebody who's played on the team, somebody who's got familiarity with the team. And again, this happens around the NHL, but for the Bruins, do you think there were some other choices out there that would have been just as good, if not better, had they gone outside of their realm of comfort this time?
Well, I think they've done that, though. Cassidy came in, and he was the coach in Providence, so there was some familiarity there, but he never played here. Claude Julien was a complete off the books hire, right? Jim Montgomery never played here. So and Joe Sacco was the interim coach, but so it doesn't necessarily mean that, you have that familiarity. But I think that Marco has been on the radar of a number of teams. He's highly respected and regarded around the league as somebody that was kind of an up and coming type of guy. I think when and I don't want to put an expectation on it, but like Spencer Carberry, who got hired in Washington, has had a lot of success, and he had paid his dues, whether it was an assistant coach or whether it was the American Hockey League coach, and then he stepped in as an NHL coach and had a lot of success there in Washington. I don't know if that's the path that they're kind of trying to look at. So I'm not putting a lot of stock in the fact that, it helps that he's been here and he knows the city and he knows the organization, but I also think that they're trying to kind of follow maybe that path of this guy is ready to be an NHL coach, and we're going to go in that direction. But I'll go back to it again, though, guys. There has to be a lot of changes to the roster if you're going to have any success. If he has any chance of having success, you can't go into the season with the roster you had that finished the year.
A lot has
go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Bob, a lot has been said about Marco Sturm. He's a little bit younger. He's a man in his mid-40s. Does age really matter for a head coach at this level?
I think age, I don't think it matters. I think it's how do you connect with your players? How do you you've got, if you have 23 players on your roster, that's 23 different personalities. You have to be able to manage those personalities. You have to be able to manage your staff, your assistant coaches. They have to be able to work with some of these younger players. If they're going to go on a younger route, and I don't know if that's the case or not, but let's see what draft and free agency and trades and things like that bring over the next few weeks. but he has to be able to manage, a lot of different personalities, and that's something he's been working on. And if you're a younger coach, are you more adept at, managing some of those younger players that you have in your lineup? So that's going to be important for him. I also think, having a leadership group, whether it's Pastrnak and McAvoy, et cetera, making sure that group is on board with the message that you're trying to send your team.
Okay, what are your hopes now? I mean, they have to fill a lot. This roster is pretty barren, and I'm not talking about talent. I'm just talking about people that they have. What is it, John? Five forwards?
They have 5 forwards that aren't, say, Matt Patra, guys like Fraser Minton, guys like that. They have 5 guys, 5 forwards under contract for next year.
How do you see building this roster this offseason? I mean, there are big-name free agents, but you need a lot of guys. How do you do this?
Well, it's got to be through either, trades or free agents. The draft, you're going to have a high draft pick. I think they have 7 overall, right, this year. And you have some draft picks coming up, but, realistically, those players that you're drafting aren't going to be ready to play this year. So they've made a commitment to be relevant this season, be a playoff team this season. Well, that's telling me that they're in the trade market and they're in the free agent market. And that's all coming up between, I think the draft is the 27th. Free agency starts July 1. It was important to have a coach in place. You've got your management team in place now, and I'm anxious to see what they do. They have to be extremely active. Let's put it that way. Late this month and early July to round out a roster that needs to be a lot better, obviously, than it was to finish the year last year.
Go ahead.
What's the priority, Bob? Where do they have to look first and foremost?
Well, I think. I think the team has to be really solid defensively, and that's something that they've talked about, and they got away from last year. So if you're talking about team defense, let's just talk about your defensemen first. First of all, Swayman in net needs to be better. He's got his contract now. There's nothing. He's going to be able to concentrate, and he had a good World Championships, which is optimistic. Leading into next year, defense-wise. You get Lindholm and McAvoy back and healthy. Those are your top 2 defensemen that you were missing at the end of last year. I think the right side's a priority right now. Finding somebody to play behind McAvoy. I think Andrew Peeke did a nice job last year, but he's probably more suited to be a 5-6 defenseman, not a top 4. So that's an area. And then, forwards, take your pick. There's a lot of holes up front that need to be filled.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, can you splurge on a big name free agent, or is there so much you can?
You can, and especially with the cap going up over the next few years, the projected cap is going way up over the next few years. So yeah, I think they're in the market for a big name, but there's also some other names that are going to have to pop in there. And whether it's a trade, it can be a trade, or it's a free agency route. There's a ton of holes. Just look at the way that that finished the year last year. The power play was poor all season. There's a couple of wingers that they could use. I think that they can use a centerman, a one center. That's a big name, right? If you're going to go after something like that. So there's some areas, and I also expect some of the guys that were brought in last year, Lindholm, for example, and Zadorov, I expect them to be better this year, or next season, I should say. Having a year under their belt and now, being slotted in the right spot, I think that they're capable of having much better seasons than they had. I thought Zadorov got better as the year went on. Lindholm really never found it the entire season, but he's a pretty good player, and I think he's capable of a lot more.
All right. Well, Bob, we will see you on Monday, and I expect it if you got to cram for that 10, do it this weekend because there will be a lot of disappointment if you are not a golden hue. All right.
I'll do my best, Red. I promise.
All right, Bob. Looking forward to seeing you. And thanks so much for coming on today. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys on Monday.
All right. Thanks, Bob.
The great Bob Beers. Isn't Bob? You would know this, Hardy. Isn't Bob always winning this thing, or around it?
I think they do well, but there's been one group that has been that has won maybe 2 years in a row or something crazy like 3 out of the last 4 that are really good, and they post just a ridiculous number.
It wasn't last year, but I remember a year, and John can co-sign on this, that like everyone came back and saw the score and we're like, huh?
Yeah.
There was one year in particular, and I don't remember what year it was. It wasn't last year. Last year, it's been a while since I paid attention, but there was a year where like everyone was whispering, like, what the hell was going on?
I think in these kinds of outings, there's always one of those groups that, all right, okay, 21, okay, you're 21 under, really? Fine. All right, good. You cheated well.
No. I don't think that. And yeah, you're right. There's always that implication when you see a number like that. But let me find, because in my group text that I have with the guys I'm playing with, I went back to the last time we played together, which was a couple of years ago.
Now, you're playing with Chris Wagner, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Chris Wagner. Now, are there other dignitaries, or is it Chris Wagner? And like, who are you playing with? Hardy's not playing with us. Who are you playing with?
One of Chris's buddies I played with before, and another friend of mine who is a dignitary of sorts, Steve Shaw from Travis Matthew, who is, well, I mean, he's well known in the golf community in New England.
Have you had him on yet?
Now, is Travis Matthew a golf
company? Not this year, but yes,
Okay.
it's only a matter of time.
Right.
Is Travis Matthew a golf company?
Yeah, lifestyle and apparel. Sure.
I knew, I
okay.
knew that, Fred. I knew that.
Travis Matthew?
Yes.
Oh, it's a big brand.
Big brand.
Fair enough, but I'm not claiming. I don't think that it's out of the realm of possibility. I've never heard of Travis Matthew. It's not Titleist.
Well, let's find out. Adam 12.
Yes.
Have you heard of Travis Matthew?
Only seeing it on your hats from time to time.
Yeah, Adam's picked up plenty of that stuff at Goodwill.
You kidding me? Savers is actually a great place to go to get Eddie Bauer and all that stuff secondhand. Yeah,
a lot of post-divorce weight loss clothes
That's
in there.
right. Absolutely, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, you get a lot of
Brothers shirts and stuff.
Well, listen,
in
after a
double
divorce,
XL.
sometimes you got to drop 50 pounds to get back in the game. You know, like that's the way that this happens. You know, you need new belts.
Yeah,
you got you're motivated finally. It's part of evolution. It's part of continuing.
Come on
the
out,
species.
12. We got a Savers right near me. Be great.
I got one down the road for me. Don't worry about it.
Because I know that Hardy's friendly with Chris Wagner. Used to be on the Bruins, a professional hockey player, and I know Hardy is friendly with him. And there was talk of wanting him in the tournament, but his playing with Chris Wagner was a great gain for John and I. Because now John and I can play with friends of ours. Mm-hmm. But it was fun last year. I liked playing with the listeners. I don't care either way. I like playing with the listeners. The guys we played with last year were legitimately like really cool. I don't have a problem with that. A lot of people would think that. But I don't think that's a fair assessment of me. I enjoy playing with other people in that kind of environment, in a scramble. I don't like it so much, and it's more my own thing. It's not because I don't like the conversation or I mind being with people. In fact, the more people I can meet, the better. I need to build a base for when my kids graduate school and move. I need to have some kind of friendship network, or I'm going to be a very lonely man.
Yeah.
So, but it's more I feel a tremendous amount of pressure. And then once the pressure starts, once I slice once or hook once, we're in trouble. Then I start hitting behind the ball. That's a big thing with me is like as a round goes on, I'll start hitting behind the ball. Like real behind the ball, and then I'll move it up in my stance and still hit behind the ball. It's like a whole thing.
If you're hitting behind the ball, why would you move the ball up in your stance? Move the ball back in your stance.
Well, my back foot would be closer to the ball, right? Or no. My front foot would be further from. Wait, no, my back foot.
If
would be
you're
closer
hitting
to the ball.
behind the ball, then you move the ball back in your stance toward your back foot.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Okay.
Yeah. We're on the same page. We're just saying it different ways.
Yeah.
This has got Lebitard all over it.
People are asking me about the golf cart race, which is slated to take place before the start of the tournament, and that's going to be down, I believe, the first fairway. Freddie versus the golf cart.
Hang on to your hats.
40-yard dash.
But the thing that might make it fun is Nicholas is also participating, because I've long because that's like kind of our pace car. Because win or lose, I'm walking away fine
in this golf cart thing. This kind of just happened organically months ago. I didn't want to make a big deal about it because I don't know if the payoff's that good. But Nick being the pace car makes it a little funny.
Is there okay?
Because if he beats me, that's funny, and if he doesn't beat me and he struggles, that's funny too.
Is there a chance Nick beats you?
Certainly. I don't know how fast I run a 40-yard dash, especially if I got gout. I don't have it right now, but if it pops up again, if I eat French fries, we're in trouble.
So
seriously, if I eat French fries 2 days in a row, I get gout. Ladies, I'm single. Like I had McDonald's with Zoe, and we got Chick-fil-A after Milo's thing.
Oh yeah,
and then I
you're
had
on
fries.
high alert. Yeah.
No, and I had fries 2 days ago, and then I woke up in the middle of the night in horrible pain and looked at my knee. Forget it, but it was all big and red, and I'm like, oh, there you go. It's because I had fries.
All right, so watch your diet over the next 72
You know,
hours.
Belichick's dating a 24-year-old, and I'm 50. Can you forget it? I mean, like the peeing and everything.
Yeah.
24 years from now.
I know.
Why the hell would you want to be with a 24-year-old? If you're like this at 50, and I'm not in terrible shape anymore. If you're like this at 50, in 24 years from now, Jesus, have you heard about Stern? He talking about wearing a diaper when he walks because he's got to pee so much. Imagine chasing a 24-year-old around, 74 years old. Gout. I'm 50, I eat fries, I get gout. Can only imagine 24 years from now.
I can't have a French fried potato without waking up and screaming pain in the middle of the night.
Everything about aging, I relate to Belichick's relationship. And it's so funny because I'm just like, why? Why would you want that? Like, you're jealous. No, I assure you I'm not. Like, I really, like, the guilt and the tremendous shame I'd feel about not being able to do anything. Like, let alone, everything comes down to sex, but that's not even it. It's like walking. At 74, like let's go to, like, France. Okay. Well, we're going to have to walk a lot. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's some at 24, an athlete, like, zooming around, and you're like, hang on, I'm coming. Like, that would make me feel so terrible. Just that difference in how young and vital you are and how old and decrepit I am. Sex, who cares? There's ways to have sex.
It's interesting. One of the many videos we've seen over the last 4 months, you see Belichick kind of stumbling along. There's a bus on the right. Belichick kind of stumbling along on the sidewalk. And she has to kind of like guide him. And we thought he was drunk. No, he's just 74.
No, and that's not.
She has to worry about that stuff.
And it doesn't get better. Now, look, if she's 50 and whatever, it's not 20. What problems? Just problems. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
Hardy continues on the Sports Hub.
You know, I got an idea for a bit. The email bit. We should do the email bit. It's a great idea. Let's do the email bit.
All right. A lot to cover today. The news that the article in the Boston Globe about this show will not be appearing until Tuesday. A lot of people thought it was going to be on Sunday.
I was thinking about this, Fred. Just a quick note before you go on. If we had been in the Sunday paper, it's not likely at all we would have been on the front page or in the front section. But being in the Tuesday paper, there's a shot we might actually be on the front page.
Well, that would be a great honor.
Right, so so I'm just trying to, find a silver lining.
Front page of the paper or of the sports
paper.
section?
Above the fold.
Above the fold, nice.
Yeah, above the fold.
All right.
Yeah, you're saying of the sports page, correct?
No, I'm saying the front page.
We're not going to be on the front page.
chance.
Below the fold front page.
No.
Not above the fold front page, but below the fold front page. A story like that could be on a Tuesday, is what I'm saying.
And then we had the unwarranted attack from the Dan Le Batard show, which unfairly characterized us in a way that was not true at all. So there's been many, many things raised. We had the crosstalk between John and Bert that was so annoying. And I got an email that our program director, Rick, was CC'd on.
Oh, boy.
And it says, Fred, did you ever stop to think that the side conversations might be more interesting than the same 6 topics you constantly recycle when you go on one of your tired the world according to Fred rants? Have a nice day, Dr. Leon Cream. Do you think that's a real name?
How are you spelling the last name?
Like Prince would. Cream. He's suggesting I get on top. You will stop. I like when they CC Rick because then Rick gets the message.
Well,
time to fire this guy.
Oh, no, we had another email.
No, I think it's funny. Like, it's such a passive aggressive thing. Like,
Right.
Oh no, now Rick knows I'm on the radio.
There is a Dr. Leon Cream on Instagram, and you can follow their handles GFTTRFJIKNBGFYOG543790. So maybe not that person's real name.
Yeah. If I was a doctor, I wouldn't be emailing hate mail to a radio show with my real name.
Probably not.
No.
Cam says, so 6 weeks ago, I thought Sarah from Everett was in police custody. Do you remember this email? Guy was driving by and he saw a dog walker in Everett being detained by the police. And I reached out to Sarah. Turns out it was not her. And he says, and he has also found out, it turns out the woman being questioned was a suspect in car break-ins in Everett. And I was able to get the context yesterday. Sorry to accuse Sarah of that, but it was an easy assumption to make when a female dog walker in Everett was sitting on a bench, handcuffed, talking to the cops. I don't know why you would automatically think Sarah in that situation.
No, I mean, she does walk dogs. She is Sarah from Everett, and she has been in studio with a glass of vodka in front of her at 8 a.m.
Do you know it was vodka?
I know it was. She said it was alcohol.
Right.
I'm guessing vodka. You don't go brown liquor at 8 a.m. Do you?
It could have been rum. You know, why do you automatically jump to vodka? It could have been a nice glass of gin for the springtime.
I think it's funny when people are like, vodka doesn't smell. Like, you can drink vodka and no one will detect it.
Okay.
No, it smells.
Yeah.
It smells. The cologne covers it up, though. Sam says, the jabroni from Knoxville, remember when my parents have lived in the Knoxville area for 20 years. I like it down there. This is what is interesting about radio, is that like everything is misconstrued. But downtown Knoxville sucks. We were talking about Oklahoma City. There's nothing to do. And then a guy came in who I like. He's a good listener of the show, but he on and on and on about how I'm wrong about Knoxville. And I don't think I am. And I emailed him back. I go, I hope I'm wrong. Please tell me where to go, because I would love it. Believe me, I'd love it if there were things to do there. Sam says the jabroni from Knoxville sounds like every other a-hole defending these crap southern cities. I've lived in Georgia, Texas, Louisiana, and now North Carolina. I swear, the way people talk about Raleigh, you think it's Paris. Instead, it's cookie-cutter crap breweries and these out-of-place developments with the equivalent of a Buffalo Wild Wings and a Red Lobster, but with up prices and a trendy name. The South is dog crap, and Knoxville is just trash as the rest. Savannah is cool, and that gets a pass. Savannah and Charleston are cool. Believe me, ask Gary. He's got the tattoo. There's a lot of cool southern cities. There's cities on the Gulf of Mississippi that are cool.
Durham's okay. Next door to Raleigh.
I've never been there. I've never been to North Carolina. I spent my time in South Carolina. I'm getting a tattoo.
I'm glad I brought up Sarah a moment ago because lo and behold, there is an email from Sarah from Everett.
Yeah, she stopped emailing me.
Well, this is for you, Fred.
Through you.
Cats.
A good theory, but I do have a baby gate with a cat door protecting the litter box.
She also
I'm
says,
one step ahead of you, Sarah.
Okay. She also says that Fred's dog is a rescue and has only lived in that one home with the ex-wife. Probably has anxiety of being in another place, could trigger fears that he is moving somewhere else, regardless if Fred and the kids are there.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was assuming. Again, I'm staying at my ex-wife's house, my old house, because she was called away for a family thing. I mean, but I don't mind that because now the two dogs are in her house. Because she texted me, she's like, "Hey, I'm going away for this family thing. Do you think you could watch the dog in case the person who usually watches him can't watch him?" What am I going to do? What am I going to say? It'd be terrible not to say yes, you know. But I do.
You giving her a ride to the airport?
You think I should? No. No rides.
Oh.
I did it when we were married. I'm not now. No rides to the airport. Did you pick up your mom yesterday, or is that today?
Yeah, I did.
You picked her up from the airport?
Yeah.
Like a wounded dove?
12:20 yesterday. Wow.
Oof. You stay in the satellite lot? Wait for her to get
No,
out?
I stayed here long enough to where I could drive right there and then was still a couple minutes early. And you see that Stady sitting there. I'm like, oh, boy.
Yep.
Oh, boy. I'm just going to get in the back of the line here and keep inching up. And I had probably moved 3 car lengths.
Which terminal?
By the time they came out C.
Okay.
And how
That's
much
tough.
anxiety was there, like in just like get out here now, when you were sitting there waiting? How much resentment built up in you?
It's not so much anxiety. I just don't want the trooper to yell at me in front of my mother again because it's happened at least once that she brings up, but I think it's actually happened twice.
I would go so far as to say the state trooper doesn't want people picking each other up at the airport. So perhaps my notion of not picking people up at the airport is what the police
You're the
would
real
like.
you're the real backer of the blue.
In this scenario, I believe I am. I think if you were to put him on a lie detector and go, should people be picking each other up at the airport? Would it make your life easier if they didn't? He might say, take a cab.
Yeah. It's easier to hide at B. C, you're out in the open there. There's really nowhere to go.
Unless someone was like needed help getting into the car, like was like in a wheelchair or something. Like in my parents, thankfully, are not in that state, and I don't believe your mother is. They can get a cab. They walk right to that cab stand. It's right there. They'll put your bags in. I'll take the bags out. I have to carry the bags where they go. I don't ask them to walk up. They have to stay at a hotel this time because you can't use my toilet in the basement for poop.
Well, she
He's got one of those old school that sends it up.
She offered the text from her on Wednesday was flight gets in at 12:20. We'll do a lift and hopefully we'll be to your place by 1:30, 2 o'clock. I texted back, I can pick you up. I have some things to do at work. In the airport is easy from there. Thanks. You're the best son ever.
I don't get that.
Maybe if you picked your mom up at the airport.
Well, that's what I'm getting at, John, is maybe I've made a grave error in my relationship with my parents.
Well, you just
They
make her
do
cry.
seem to hate me. Oh, you've never made your mom cry, Hardy. That's never happened in the world.
How many times in a year do you make your mother cry?
It's hard to say because sincere tears or acting tears?
Yeah.
It
like
could be
like a
something-
real cry, like on the phone, never. When we're staying there for a length of time,
for a week. How many times when you stay there for a week will your mother cry?
do tears have to come out of the eyes, or just the notion that she's very upset and on the verge? I don't know, one or two.
Okay.
One or two times.
Well, hopefully that's 1 or 2 more times that my mother will cry over this long.
Oh, if you
weekend.
stayed at my house for a week, you'd make my mom cry at least once.
Just having interactions with her face to face, she's going to cry at some point. Nothing necessarily has to happen.
If you refuse the trash can Italian food, will that make her cry?
Yes.
How much of it is over food?
Okay, I'll give you an example. If someone comes up to you and goes, Hardy, or Rob, your mom probably calls you Rob.
Yeah.
Rob?
Yeah.
Rob.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, Rob.
Yeah. Yeah. What?
Don't get mad.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if we'll have bacon for the salad.
Okay, I don't care. That's fine.
Why do you talk to me that way? Scene. All right, so we'll be back and finish this things up. Here are the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox had last night off. They pitch Walker Buehler tonight in the opener of a 3-game weekend series at the Stadium against the Yankees. Garrett Crochet will pitch tomorrow. At the NBA Finals, Indiana came back from down 15 in the fourth quarter and shocked the Thunder in Game 1 in Oklahoma City, 111-110. Tyrese Halliburton, the game-winning shot with 0.3 seconds left. Former Bruins interim head coach Joe Sacco has been hired as an assistant by the New York Rangers. He made this move after the Bruins hired Marco Sturm to replace him. Florida Panthers visit Edmonton tonight for Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals, down 1-0. And after a long wait, the Pittsburgh Steelers have finally agreed to terms on a 1-year contract with free agent quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Veterinary Urgent Care Center. With 8 locations in Massachusetts and Rhode Island, VUCC offers compassionate, convenient, high-quality care 7 days a week. Walk in or book an appointment at veturgentcare.com. Veterinary Urgent Care Center, urgent care for your pet's urgent needs. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 10 o'clock.
Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sports.
If your alarm clock sounds like this is the show for you. Toucher and Hardy, the Sports Hub.
We know what you're thinking. What could I possibly have missed from the show? It's time for The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
Hey, we are the convenience, as Hardy experienced, of staying at that hotel, whatever they call it now. Hollywood Casino Hotel in Greektown, I think is what they call it. But you walk right there. It's 2 blocks away.
Right.
You could spend a weekend, not leave Greektown. Just out there. If you ever want to go to an away game, I'm telling you, you want to go to Detroit.
Very nice.
Asian Street Fair.
French.
He's in.
That's Wallach's neighbor.
He's in. I'm in. He's in. We're all in.
That is correct. Adam 12.
For beer in the whole world. And I slyly put it behind something and grabbed a Miller Lite.
You weren't much of a, I was going to say, you weren't much of a beer guy when you were a drinker anyway. Like, you would have Coors Light at the house when I would come over. That was pretty much it.
Yeah, I liked domestic light beer. And
like Bob Pollard.
And some, I wasn't Guided by Voices for a spell, but we all
were.
I also liked Belgian beer. If I went to like a place, I'd get, yeah. I was a fan.
Well, Fred, you went to the MFA not long ago.
Also Fireball.
Are you, yeah. Goldschlager.
I'm not kidding. I drink Fireball is very easy to get down. Go ahead. You're in trouble when you're getting Fireball nips. Go ahead.
Are you looking to relax and have fun at the end of a long week? Why don't you go to the MFA First Friday? This is an exciting evening of music, dancing, art making, and more on the first Friday of select months.
Okay, it is free, but if you were a it's free for me. You didn't let me finish.
Okay, if you're a member.
No. If you're an ex-member, you got a pleading, pathetic email. No, just kidding. You got an email from the Museum of Fine Arts saying, you want to go to this thing? Here's a code.
No.
And you are in. So, Adam, I don't know if they had some deal at one point. At one point, you had to be a member of the MFA. You went to Northeastern.
Okay. Yeah. I was at one point. And for when I was at Northeastern, actually, cool enough, you could use your student ID and you could get into the MFA for free anytime.
And I'm sure you took advantage of that all the time.
And I still have my student ID and my ID from when I was a professor, the associate professor / lecturer there. So maybe I should try to whip that out and see if I get a little bit of luck.
Yeah, because otherwise it's going to cost you $27.
If you were going to an art museum in college as a student, you're like this amazingly cultured, brilliant person because I couldn't think of something less likely I would have done.
12, why don't you just stick with the concert in the courtyard at the Boston Public Library today?
Yes. What time is that?
12:30 to 1:30 p.m.
They got some jazz happening there or what?
Turnstiles playing.
I want to say Nike, but there's a little line over the E's, so is that Nike?
Nike, maybe?
Nike.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very quickly, I have a friend. You know Shameless, the show Shameless?
Yeah.
The theme song to that? A friend of mine is the drummer of that band. And they went on a library tour. Insufferable. Insufferable.
MFA actually has an indoor space.
Oh, I've seen it, Adam.
Yeah.
We've all been in the MFA. You're not clever.
Yes,
it's the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston.
Enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus, he's acting like he's been to some installation in Paris. I mean, Jesus Christ. Yes, we've all been in the MFA. John went to school. You were required to go. I'm sure you had a field trip.
Oh, yeah.
My kid had to go to a birthday party there. Ugh. All right. Very good. That'll do it for us. We'll be off on Monday. I won't talk to anyone until Thursday.
I was like, hey, man.
Yeah, Gary, thank you. That'll do it for us. No, we're doing the golf tournament.
Do you get did you have to take
No,
off
no,
for
it's
that?
a vacation day that I've
So you did
taken to
take
play in the
vacation
station
day for
golf
that.
tournament. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll make sure Louth checks that off for you.
Yeah, thank you. No, they were the big ticket item. Crazy working that day.
I'll play in a golf
We
tournament
did
next
last
weekend.
year because of the finals.
I'm
What?
playing one next weekend, and I'm inviting Hardy to play one with me at the Country Club in Brookline in August.
Look at that.
I played
and Myopia.
I played the country club in Brookline maybe 5
Myopia
times last
too?
year.
Jesus.
You guys
How
should
many
have run a
times
good
this
golf
year?
tournament. You should have put me
he
up for
got
up for
divorced.
auction.
All right.
Raise some money.
He
for
lost
this
that
thing,
membership.
man.
Lickety split. All right, that'll do it for us. He's probably listening right now. Hi, Nick. That'll do it for us. Bye.
Have a week.